Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and it's Tuesday, which means it's time to get live. And we got a hell of a show on tap for each and every one of y'all today. Who's been wondering, what's the Raiders' plan at quarterback? Well, luckily for you, I'm going to tell you what it is today. And if you were hoping to talk about the QBs, then you are absolutely in the right place. I already see Will Thompson, Vincenzo Peoples, Martin, Luke, Tadashi, Ron Raspberry, Sienna, one of the legends here, Matt Fluhey, all pulling up to today's show. So here's what's going to be coming up on our live segment today. The Raiders' plan at quarterback, because to me, every good plan needs to also have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, just in case it doesn't go to exactly what you want to have. That's what you're going to see here on today's show. Then, since last week, I laughed because we already did a lot of these segments. Quarterback rankings with Kliff Kingsbury, mock draft with Kliff Kingsbury. Well, let's just crumble all that up and toss it to the side, throw it out. I'm going to now give you an updated quarterback rankings list of what I think the Silver and Black could potentially do with Luke Getsy at OC, and then what Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce, Luke Getsy, Patrick Graham would do in a mock draft. That's all going to be coming up here on today's show. We already have over 630 people live on the Raiders Report. If you haven't already, please, I would appreciate it if you would have clicked that like button. And I'm going to be real with y'all. If anybody wants to have a little bit of a good time today, I'm kind of down to have a good time. For those of you that do not know, Jeremy and I, our flight, we leave tomorrow for Las Vegas. Really excited to be able to interview some players, some coaches. A lot of fun stuff going to be on tap for a lot of the Raiders Report watchers here. We will be live on Thursday. That time might still be a little bit TBD because we have to do certain things based on Media Row. But I'll tell you this, there's nothing that I'd rather do more than banging on Media Row. My question is, who's going to be pulling up with Jeremy and I? So let's have a fun discussion here. And remember, if you send in a super chat, we'll get you up on screen. Or you can use hashtag Raiders, get those questions, comments on the show. Let's play a little bit of a game. You got to pick a quarterback. J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., or Bo Nix. If let's just say, which that's probably what's most likely to happen, is the Raiders are unable to trade up into the top three. The Raiders are unable to get a Jayden Daniels. You're unable to get a Caleb Williams. You're unable to get a quarterback like Drake May. So now Las Vegas goes, okay, if we know we can't get up there, who's the next quarterback that we're going to evaluate? I'm not saying that you're going to take one of these guys at 13, but I don't think it's impossible for the Raiders to draft a player at 13 and then go, well, I'm going to trade up into the back end of round 1, and then I'm going to go get my guy. Because, well, if we want to talk about Luke Getsy, when he was previously with the Green Bay Packers, the Packers were notorious for kind of doing this whole thing. So if you had to pick a quarterback, McCarthy, Penix, or Bo Nix out of this, what would you say? Michael Avilia is throwing in his own here with Spencer Rattler. I don't hate that idea. I'll be real with you. Raider Souls, J.J. McCarthy, Penix from Patrick Starr, True Raider, Edgar Gonzalez, J.J. McCarthy from Raider Since, Bo Nix from Taino. I also see Raider 508, MP, Ben Jones, MP, and then this one's rolling in from Urza Alvarado. Bang! You telling me that on Media Row would not be electric? My dad actually said, Mitch, there's no way that you can yell bang and create that much attention to yourself there. I said, you don't watch the show often then. Why? You're telling me we can't? I think we can. You're telling me. Brett gave me the thumbs up. I've been told we're allowed to yell bang as long as we don't go live in the airport itself. I think besides that, we're good. Let's go. It's that time for a good time. I'd go with Bo Nix. If you want to shout out here on the Raiders Report, spam Urza Alvarado right now. I'm feeling pretty damn good, man. I mean, we are going to talk a lot about Bo Nix today. And I mean, we are going to talk a lot about Bo Nix today. So, sounds like you're excited for a little Bo Nix. You want to shout out here on the Raiders Report, spam Urza Alvarado right now, because I see Vincenzo Peoples. What up, Robert Galeno? I see Anthony Coe, Will Thompson, I Am Punchy, Jeremy Wiley, Kimberly, King Shop, Jeffrey Kreischer. I gotcha. What does the Getsy hiring do to the chances of trading for Justin Fields? I'll talk about that a little bit, but if I'm being honest, I think there is a 0% chance now that Justin Fields is the Raiders quarterback this upcoming season. I don't have just one. We got two sponsors on today's live show, and I want to be able to show them a little bit of love because I'm excited for the big game. I'm not really excited for the game itself. I'm more excited to just be able to hang out with the nation out in Las Vegas, and I also know there's a lot of people traveling out to Vegas this weekend. But hey, how about this? If you plan on going to Vegas and you plan on going to the big game, we got a really awesome deal. Use code Vegas100. It's going to get you $100 off. If you're like, Mitch, what exactly is the Gametime app? It's an awesome app where you can snag last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Also, tell them, you came from me. Download the Gametime app, $20 off with code RaidersChat. And for Chugs and I, we're going to be going to some comedy events. We're going to be going to some events under $50. And I'll tell you what, it is the perfect app for all y'all going out to Vegas. Here's the other thing, though. I got another great app for the big game because I don't want the Chiefs to win. I don't want the 49ers to win. If I want anything, I would like for both of these teams to lose. But you know what I would love to be able to do? Pick more or less on a few players. And if I got to root for a Kyle Juszczyk catch, I'm going to do that. If I got to root for an Isaiah Pacheco touchdown, I'm going to do that. Because my picks, I put down $20, and I have a chance to win $200. In a game that I don't want either team to win, if I got to sit there and cheer on my players so that way I put a little bit more money in my pocket, that sounds pretty damn good to me. So if you're just like me, go to PrizePicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. All right, so we got another super chat coming in. This one is very, very sad. And for anybody out there that's a big country music fan, it is true. Toby Keith unfortunately passed away. Now, I'll be real with you. I don't listen to a lot of country music. I didn't listen to a lot of Toby Keith. You seem to know a little bit more on this topic than I did, but it sounded like he had stomach cancer.
Yep.
And anybody that knows me, cancer is near and dear to my heart. I got my grandfather's ribbon tattooed. I also got my prayer hands. That's what the prayer hands are for. But you hate to,
hey, you got to finish. You got to finish the lyric. We'll raise up our glasses against evil forces, saying, "Whiskey for my men."
I don't know this song. You guys were playing it earlier.
If you know the last part, put it in the comments.
I'm not a country
Whiskey
music
for
fan.
my men.
But I will say, spam those RIPs anytime somebody passes, man. Obviously, it's very sad, especially when they have the ability to make an impact on a lot of people.
They know it.
Yeah?
You raise up our glasses against evil forces, saying, "Whiskey for my men."
I'll tell you what, I'm
Beer for
actually
my
proud that a lot of
horses.
y'all know that song because I never heard that song before in my life when you played it today. Shout out to Toby Keith, man. RIP. Very, very sad. Gone too soon. Let's go to the next one, which is from Max, and he's just saying, thanks for doing the show, I guess. Max, if you want a question, don't be shy. Hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. Get those questions, comments on the show.
We're about to head out to Vegas.
Yes.
I thought this was an appropriate question.
Okay. Best Super Bowl commercial ever. So, off the top of my head, the first Super Bowl commercial that I remember was one that they ended up not showing. And it was Skittles Taste the Rainbow. And it's basically like a guy and a girl connecting the dots, probably using Manscaped if I had to guess. And then she tastes the rainbow. Yeah. Okay. I was like, I don't know exactly what I can say here, but the Skittles were still the same color.
Terrible Terry Tate.
Oh, dude, that was a good one.
Woo!
In my high school, they made a spinoff on that where, like, we had a kid, my senior year, he was one of the linebackers on our football team, and he was just going around spearing people.
The Doritos Time Machine one was hilarious. One that I couldn't get out of my head for a whole year.
Okay.
And it was the dumbest commercial ever, and me and my buddy...
Those are usually how it goes.
Me and my buddy used to always, like, when we were drunk or messed up, we would look at each other and say it and then just start laughing. I don't know if you remember, there was a commercial where it was like, "Puppy Monkey Baby." Puppy Monkey Baby.
No.
I think it was for Mountain Dew. Oh, wait, let me...
Dude, I do not remember. Cindy Crawford, Pepsi, Doritos Time Machine. I do remember that one. Bud Light Clown Handstand at the bar commercial.
It was for Mountain Dew. And it was literally just like, "Puppy Monkey Baby, Puppy monkey.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know that one. Also, Venom Sosa. What's up? What up, Venom? Also, if you can go to Max's, because I think he figured out how to get his question this time on the Betty White Snickers commercial. I don't know if I remember that one either. What do you think of taking Michael Penix in the second round if he's available? I think, again, it depends where exactly you're going to end up taking a few quarterbacks. Like, the more and more I think about what the Raiders are going to do, I don't forecast Penix being an option for the Raiders just because, yes, like the Getsy offense, I think people think of it as what they've seen the past 2 seasons from the Bears. But I do also think that Fields might not have been the best quarterback for that system. When he was with Green Bay, he did a fine job. When he was with Mississippi State, he did a fine job. Even when you look at some of the next-gen stats between the efficiency of that offense with Tyson Bagent compared to Justin Fields, it was a lot better with Tyson Bagent, to be honest with you, which, I mean, it's maybe why they dropped 30 on us. But the bottom line is I don't see Michael Penix Jr. being that option. I actually think it's another quarterback if that were to be the case. But also, I don't know if Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., or J.J. McCarthy are available to the Raiders at 44. I think if you want to get one of those guys and ensure that you're getting one of those guys, you're probably going to have to trade up.
Also, iconic commercial. Remember the Jessica Simpson Burger King where she's,
No, I don't.
Oh, wait. Let me make sure
Is she eating a burger, I guess? I don't remember.
Oh, no. It was Carl's Jr. with Kate Upton, I guess.
No idea. Let's go to Daryl. Go get Jayden Daniels in FKC. I do think that one of the plans that you're going to see here on today's show, and I do think it's one of the plans that the Raiders have of going out and getting their guy in Jayden Daniels. Like, to me, I'm pretty damn confident that one of their top people on their board is Jayden. And I've made this point before where if the Raiders trade up to number 1, to me, it was not going to be for Drake May. It was not going to be for Caleb Williams. It was to go up and get Jayden Daniels. And yes, I reported, which I know a lot of people thought I was crazy, but I do know for a fact that one of the big-time reasons why the Kliff Kingsbury deal fell through was because they offered him 2. He wanted a 3-year deal, and then unfortunately, that ended up falling out. But it's also because Kliff wanted Caleb Williams. I'm almost curious if they told him, hey, we're not really looking towards Caleb. Yes, obviously we draft him, but Jayden Daniels is our guy, and then that was almost even more where Kliff was like, I'm getting the heck out of here. Let's go to Encore. What are you laughing at?
Somebody was saying the Britney Spears Pepsi commercial, and all I could think of was Gabriel Iglesias talking about how, like, commercials in Mexico are a lot more sexualized.
Okay.
And he was like, ooh, Pepsi.
I love him, dude. He would absolutely be a guy that I would love to go see live. What are the chances we trade up for a quarterback? I'll continue to say that I think there is a 100% chance that the Raiders try to trade up for a quarterback. Now I would say there's probably a 10% chance that it actually happens. Like, according to all reports out there, it does sound like the first 3 picks are going to be a QB. Obviously, that can change. Obviously, there's sometimes smoke that's being thrown out there. And, like, if you want to talk about the ultimate diversion paths, I mean, it's usually during the NFL draft where people are always like, oh, this is being reported, so then attention goes this way, when maybe they're actually trying to go this way.
We've already been kind of talking about it with the Super Chat, so
sure.
Might as well bring it up now.
Who's the best quarterback to pair with Luke Getsy? So we did the show last week about who the best quarterback was to pair with Kliff Kingsbury. So today I have the QBs ranked from 10 all the way down to 1 of which QBs I believe is the most likely to start for the Raiders this season.
Aaron Rodgers.
Sure. I mean, you're probably not wrong there. I mean, that's the guy that's had the most success. However, I can't even imagine trading all that draft capital for Aaron Rodgers, who popped his Achilles, after complaining about Kirk Cousins, who popped his Achilles. Like, also, at that point, you might as well just trade your farm and try to get up into the top 3.
Also, Robert Saleh wants to make out with Aaron Rodgers, so I don't think he's letting him leave New York. From all the reports that I've read, Robert Saleh wants to open-mouth kiss Aaron Rodgers every day.
What's creepier, open-mouth kissing with tongue or open-mouth kissing without tongue? What would you be more scared of seeing?
Oh, Robert Saleh's tongue for sure.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I think if you walk down the street and saw 2 people open mouth kissing without tongue, that would that would throw me off more.
Nobody clip that.
Yeah, please do.
Nobody clip that.
Somebody needs to clip that. To me, though, that would be a weirder thing to see.
All right, let's change the subject.
When I get home tonight, I'm going to try to open mouth kiss Alex without tongue.
Let's change the subject.
That's
Urza.
weird. What's up, Urza? I'd prefer Jayden to if we move up to do so. Bo Nix only in the second round. One of the things that I'll continue to say here on the show is I don't think that the Raiders should draft Michael Penix Jr. in the first round. I don't think that the Raiders should draft Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy.
They said clip that.
In round 1. Yes, please clip that. And I think a lot of times when I say this, people are like, oh, Mitch, you're saying that Bo Nix shouldn't get drafted in round 1. Michael Penix Jr. shouldn't get drafted in round 1. J.J. McCarthy shouldn't get drafted in round 1. I am saying that J.J. McCarthy for all 32 NFL teams should not get drafted in round 1. There are probably some NFL teams out there that could draft Bo Nix in round 1. There are probably some NFL teams out there that could and should draft Michael Penix Jr. in round 1. The Raiders, to me, aren't one of those teams. So, like, when I say that you don't draft Bo Nix for the Raiders, you don't draft Michael Penix Jr., you don't draft J.J. McCarthy, it's not based on anybody else's situation than the Raiders' current situation right now. But, yeah, I agree. I prefer Jayden, too, if we move up. I'll still say Drake May is my number 1 quarterback. But with that being said, Antonio Pierce has earned my trust where if he's good with it, I'm good with it until he shows me that I shouldn't be good with it anymore.
Andrew Garcia, little late, but the car insurance commercial with the pig in the backseat yelling,
Whee! With the pinwheel.
One of my favorite commercials in hindsight now is the crypto commercial with all the athletes, and they ended up getting in trouble, where they were like, I don't know anything about crypto, and that's perfectly fine. Invest.
I have no idea. You know what my favorite commercial on TV right now is? It's the only commercial when it comes on. I don't mind when it comes on. It's like this like random commercial where like the outlet sings and like it's because the battery life on the phone's so long.
Well, I don't know why I didn't think of this. The FTX commercial with all the lawsuits with FTX and that crypto company.
I don't remember that one.
They hired a bunch of like Steph Curry was one, and they had a bunch of other guys, and it was like Steph doesn't know anything about crypto. And that's perfectly fine. Invest with FTX, and we'll figure it out later. And then they ended up losing everyone's money, and they're like, Steph, why did you tell us to do this? And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can tell you because they paid him probably a whole bunch of crypto. That's probably why. Andrew Garcia, shout out to you. If anybody wants to share what their favorite Super Bowl commercial is, please don't be shy. Burn Raider, Jacoby Myers at QB1. Let's go. I do believe Jacoby used to play quarterback, so that's probably why you're throwing this idea out there.
Last time he threw a pass, it really didn't work out for him, though.
Very true. So,
go Chandler!
I'm still convinced Chandler still thinks he's running with that football. The other thing is this, and this might be an unpopular opinion. If you were to ask me which Raiders player might be the most valuable and likely trade chip this offseason, I actually think it's Jacoby Myers. Not because he's not a good player, but based on what the Raiders have said this offseason, I do think that Jacoby Myers is a trade candidate for the Raiders. And he's a good player, don't get me wrong. He's probably one of the more underrated receivers in the National Football League. But if the Raiders are legitimately looking to add speed to that wide receiver room, we got to be able to keep it real here. Jacoby Myers is one of the slowest starting receivers in the National Football League. Let's go to Max. What up, Max? Get a pick. What Mark Davis and the Raiders need to do is ask Davante Adams who he wants to be the quarterback, and whoever that is, we need to go get that guy. So by this logic, then, you're okay with Luke Getsy because I don't want to totally give away some of the things that I know and some of the things that are going to be coming up here on this show today, but Davante Adams was one of the biggest supporters in the Raiders going out and getting Luke Getsy. That I can confirm with you. I got a source very well tied in with Davante. He told me that over the weekend. One of the biggest reasons why the Raiders ended up bringing in Luke Getsy and hiring him is because Davante Adams said, that's the guy that I want. And one of the guys that he wanted, I guess is probably how I should frame that. But we'll talk a little bit more about this because this is part of the Raiders quarterback plan today. What up, PJ? Would you trade for Trey Lance or any other quarterbacks?
I mean, honestly, if the Cowboys bring back Cooper Rush,
Has Getsy signed? Technically, no. So let's throw
if
that
the
out
Cowboys
there.
bring back Cooper Rush and they start Trey Lance off on the practice squad, you could theoretically steal him next year and not have to trade for him.
Very, very true. And I do think it's a good point that Jeremy's bringing up there. Like, I'll say this, though. If you're like, oh, like, let's take a flyer on him for a 7th-round pick or something like that, because there was a report that came out today that the New York Jets are not sure that they're even going to be able to get a 6th-round pick or 7th-round pick for Zach Wilson. And the reason why I throw that out there is because I think if Zach Wilson gets dealt first, then you could probably see what Trey Lance's trade bait is. But for the Raiders here, and this is a point that I made yesterday on some shows that Jeremy and I filmed for when I'm away on vacation next week. But my idea was if you're planning on just having a quarterback learn behind a veteran, let's say for 2 years, like, would you rather trade up for Bo Nix and take him in maybe the back half of the 1st round, or give up a 7th-round pick, get Trey Lance, who's 3 years younger, let Trey Lance learn behind a veteran quarterback, see where that goes, or have Bo Nix learn behind a veteran quarterback for 2 years? Like, if that was your plan for Lance, I wouldn't hate it. If your plan is to go trade for Trey Lance and make him your starting quarterback, that's going to be an issue because I've never been a Lance fan, but he's not the guy. He's not the guy. All right, I like this one. If you had to pick between these 3 quarterback options, let's have a fun game here. Let's say the Raiders go, we're not drafting a quarterback. We're not drafting a quarterback this year. We're going to roll with one of these 3 starters. And the reason is because we want to know before the NFL draft who our quarterback is, and we're going to get him in free agency. We're either going to go for Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson, and if we miss out on them, it's Aiden O'Connell season. If you had to pick, but like the way that you have to think about this is, do you want Kirk Cousins, let's say at $35 million per year? Let's say Russell Wilson at $1.21 million, the vet min, or Aiden O'Connell at his contract, which I'm just going to say is somewhere around $2 million.
I'm going to throw up.
What would you do if you had to pick? Because this option is not impossible. It's not. To me, it's very simple. The only answer that's not acceptable on here is Aiden O'Connell in my book.
If I have to watch Aiden O'Connell stand like a statue for a whole 18 games next year, I might rip my hair out.
Like, if you're choosing Aiden based on the price, Russell Wilson is a light years better of a quarterback than Aiden at around that price tag.
Aiden sucks.
Or you go with Kirk Cousins, who is clearly better. And yes, you got to pay more money.
Aiden's just not good.
Yeah, I tweeted out today.
I think Coop has better pocket mobility than Aiden O'Connell. Like he cannot move anywhere in the pocket. He can't move up. He can't move sideways. He can't move diagonal. He is 3 steps back, and that's where he's going to be. He's standing there.
I feel like Aiden O'Connell reminds me of like the old school vacuum cleaners, and now like there's ones that have like the ball that you can like swivel. Aiden is.
Yes. Yeah. You go like this, you go back, and then you have to.
If you try to turn that thing a little bit, you might as well just tip it over.
You gotta legit move it to the right like that. Like I don't.
Yeah. Again, to me, the only answer that I will not be able to wrap my mind around is Aiden, because how can you start a quarterback that you know isn't a top 32 guy? And I had somebody battle me on Twitter today that was like,
Preston, I have to just push back against that. He said pocket mobility can be developed. McDaniels told him not. What? He was just like, hey, if you're gonna get sacked, stand there. Just stand there. What do you mean? He told him not to move. No coach in the NFL is like, you know what? If the pocket's collapsing, just let it happen. Don't go anywhere. What? If anybody is coaching that in the NFL, you're either sabotaging your own team or you might be Chandler Jones. Like, I don't know any other option of, he told him he can't move in the pocket. Like, what does that even mean?
I think the other thing that people, got to be able to wrap their mind around here is Aiden O'Connell, probably the perfect offensive system for Aiden was the Josh McDaniels system. And even that he wasn't good in, right? So, like, you can stick with Aiden as a backup, and if you're in a pinch, like, Aiden's a good backup QB. Like, that's totally fine. But going into next season, knowing that if Aiden O'Connell is your starting quarterback, you're going to have the worst starting QB in the NFL. I don't really understand how you could possibly be excited about that or want that. But today, a guy on Twitter was like, I dare you to name 32 quarterbacks better than Aiden. And I was like, I don't even think that that's kind of challenging. Like, name 32 quarterbacks better than Aiden O'Connell? I bet you. I almost wonder if I could name 40. It'd be close. Because Aiden, to me, is in that 32 to 40 range.
You have a couple teams with two guys. Like, I would say Joe Flacco and Deshaun Watson are better than him.
Who?
Joe Flacco and Deshaun Watson are better than AOC.
Yeah.
I would say Gardner Minshew and Anthony Richardson are better than AOC. I would say Jake Browning and Joe Burrow are better than AOC. That's just three teams and their quarterback depth charts.
Sure.
That's not even all the starters in the league.
Oh, and I think that's the problem, where people forgot how many QBs got injured this year and don't realize how many backups actually played compared to legit starters in the National Football League. But I'm done talking about AOC.
Yeah, and
there's no way he could be your starter.
Somebody tweeted at me, oh, look at his stats compared to Bryce Young. Bryce Young had the worst O-line and no weapons at all.
Yeah,
his top weapon was a washed Adam Thielen and Chuba Hubbard. And I don't even know if he ended up being the top running back. They had Miles Sanders, who wasn't
Zach
there.
Wilson or Aiden O'Connell. I mean, to me personally, I actually probably would choose Aiden over Zach Wilson. And the reason why I say that is because Zach is a locker room nightmare to me. I don't care what anybody says. He's not a good locker room guy. But if that's what you're comparing it to, right? Because the reason why that question's even brought up, it's because of the comparison.
Zach Wilson's the worst starting quarterback in the league. And you're like, he might be just a little bit better than him.
Maybe.
Zach Wilson lost out to a guy named Mike White for a couple weeks.
That's brutal.
So you're saying, oh, the guy who lost out to Mike White, he might be a little bit worse than Aiden O'Connell. So we're good.
We're going to take that guy. Tyler, time to bring back Bruce Gradkowski. That's a throwback name, which I like to play this game once in a while at Chat Sports. Give me the most random Raiders player you can think of right now. Like, the most random. Like, Derek Carr is not a random Raiders player that comes to mind, right? Max Crosby, not a random Raiders player that comes to mind. I'm talking, when you think of Terrell Pryor, that's a random name. Justin Vargas, that's a random name. Nnamdi Asomugha is a random name.
I'm a big O-line guy. Donald Penn?
Donald Penn. That's a good one. All right, let's see here what we got. Thomas Howard. Seth Roberts is a great name. Charlie Garner. Josh Cribbs. All right. Van McElroy.
Marquette King.
Oh, Maurice Jones-Drew. I like that one. Jordy Nelson. I forgot Jordy was a Raider.
Oh, Jason Witten.
Jason Witten. Holy crap. Stu. That's all right. Andre Holmes, Matt Flynn, Calvin Branch, Jacoby Ford, Tom Kelly, Jared Cook.
Matt Schaub.
Matt Schaub. What a name. Tyrone Wheatley. Who's going to have the most random one here? Todd Christensen, Matt Collins, Darius Hayward-Bay.
Who am I thinking of?
Jalen Richard, Tyrell Williams, one of the first guys we ever interviewed
Chris
here.
Warren, baby Bo.
Oh, Chris Warren. What a name. James Jones, Jerry Porter. I love this game. Oh, man. Lamar Houston, Andrew Walter, Jerry Rice, Nick Bell, Jamarcus Russell.
Randy Moss.
Oh, man. Denarius Moore. I like him. I like the random names.
Who was the guy in Hard Knocks Keelan Doss?
Oh, Keelan Doss. He was a native guy, which I really wanted him to make the team, man. That was a fun year.
That's what Hard Knocks does to you.
I know.
Jay Roy says yes or no. Trade Devontae Kuntz, the first round pick this year, 2025 and 2026 for the number 1 pick. I honestly.
All right, hang on a second here. So you're saying
three first round picks, Devontae and Kuntz.
I actually think that's too much.
I was just about to say, I think you could get away with Devontae Kuntz, 13, 2025, and then maybe a second next year.
Yeah, again, because to me, based off of what I've been told, and obviously this can all change, from what I understand, it's your first 3 picks this year, your first 3 picks next year, and a starting caliber player. So with that in mind, like 13, 25, 26, and Malcolm Kuntz might be enough. If the Chicago Bears said, hey, this is what it costs, I want Devontae, I mean, that is where an area I don't want to get into. And the reason why that I kind of say that is because I do think NFL teams are going to be a lot more worried about what Carolina did, because Carolina said, let's go get our quarterback. And honestly, I still think Bryce Young could be a good QB. But if there is nothing around him, it doesn't matter. And then you're going to ruin his confidence. So if that's the trade, I know how much I want a QB. That's actually too much. And at the end of the day, I feel like I'm getting ripped off.
Debbie.
What up, Debbie? I miss the Bud Light commercials. Real men of genius.
No, it goes, real men of genius.
You're just trying to show off.
Yeah.
He's got a voice of an angel. I can't. I'm not going to say that. And also, Dos Equis, the most interesting man in the world. Those were good commercials.
I think he passed away.
Really?
Yeah, the original Dos Equis guy.
I mean, to be honest, the first time Alex ever handed me a Dos Equis, I remember, like, that's what I thought. That's all I could think of.
The most interesting man in the world.
Cheers, Debbie. What up, Raider Gaines? Josh McDaniels made it clear AOC wasn't ready, and he wasn't. He'd make a great backup, but you don't hear any team trying to trade for Aiden O'Connell. Again, I think we've been losing for so long that some fans forget what winners look like. I don't disagree with a lot of the things you're saying. I think actually what hinders Raider fans is their loyalty, and I love Raider fans' loyalty. I think every single person in here knows exactly what I'm talking about, where it's like that once a Raider, always a Raider mentality. And when that person is repping the shield, when that person's repping the silver and black, you grow to love that dude because that guy is repping for your team. Like, I have the utmost respect for Aiden O'Connell. I have the utmost respect for Derek Carr, but I 100% agree with you that people just say because he's the Raiders quarterback, they look at him with their beer goggles on instead of actually taking them off and taking a step back and being like, this is what Aiden O'Connell is. And you got to be able to accept it. So Raider Gaines, I hear you, man.
Also, Patrick B. in the chat, he said, no, he's still alive, ... He lives in Vermont.
For those that don't know, Patrick B. lives in Vermont. What up, Max? Do you think we could trade for Dak? If so, what would it cost? I'll let you handle this one.
I think the only way a blockbuster crazy trade like that happens is if a top 3 team trades for Dak, and what I mean the top 3 picks. So if the only way the Cowboys are making that trade, I think this offseason, is if they have a chance to get Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jayden Daniels, which still would be crazy.
How does that get on? But how does he go to the Raiders then?
With the Raiders, I think the Raiders would have to trade up and then trade that pick to the Dallas Cowboys.
Like, here would be my reasoning of why you don't do this. Why would you trade up for Dak Prescott when realistically, I bet you to get Dak off the Cowboys, it costs probably just as much for you to go up and get a top 3 pick? I mean, I would imagine it would. And then on top of that, you got to pay Dak all that money. Don't get me wrong. I think Dak Prescott this season had a good year. But what I don't want is, I don't need another quarterback I don't want somebody who's great in the regular season. Obviously, I want somebody who's good in the regular season. But if I'm going to pay a quarterback the amount of money that I'm going to have to pay Dak Prescott, I want to know that he can get it done in the playoffs. Do I know if Jayden, Caleb, Drake, May, any of these other... No, you have no idea. But I know this. When it's playoff time and that quarterback's making $40, $50 million a year, do you want Dak Prescott calling hike? The answer to that is no. And I think even Cowboys fans, every NFL team would say no. Dak Prescott, right now, in the playoffs, would you want him on your team? Why for yes and for no? No chance.
I will have to say, Dak Prescott, these past couple of years on the Raiders, would be the best quarterback the Raiders have ever had.
He's better than Derek Carr. He's obviously better than Jimmy G, Aiden O'Connell, Brian Hoyer. Like, I don't dispute that, but that's still not, like, we got to stop just being like, all right, we're going to pay average quarterbacks $37, $40 million a year. And yes, Dak is an above average QB.
Actually, I like this comparison from Ryan John. He said, Dak reminds me of Carson Palmer. He's that guy who's always a top 5, top 10 quarterback, but when it comes to crunch time, you're never thinking of him like, oh, he's the guy that's going to take us over the hump.
Phillip Rivers to me. I think Phillip Rivers is another one where they're just not going to win anything. Like, are they good? Unquestionably. Dak Prescott, unquestionably good. But you were never going to win anything. Just like, even like DC. DC was unquestionably a good quarterback, but there's no way you had any faith in him whatsoever to win a playoff game. Yeah, I get it. They never got there. But he's also responsible. Self-made. What quarterback do you guys want that's realistic?
I think what would be the most interesting and the guy who I would want the most would be Russell Wilson. Revenge tour, plays against the Broncos twice. If he does sign, even if it's not at the vet min, but like signs a $5 million contract or something at least below $10 million,
yeah,
I would think that would be the best bang for your buck if you're the Raiders. And then also you get to evaluate quarterbacks moving forward because Russell Wilson only has 4 or 5 years down the road. I still think he is a good quarterback. And at that price tag, if you could build a team around him, because, I mean, like just like he was in Seattle, with a really good team, Russ is an elite game manager. And if I think you have the defense that the Raiders had last year, you have Devontae Adams, and you're able to have a good running back, build more on the O-line and D-line, I think that Raiders team could be dangerous with Russell Wilson.
I mean, if Russ plays on the vet min, and I see Chef saying he's not going to play on the vet min, again, I think that he might actually play on the vet min because, to me, it benefits him in the long run a lot more if he does play on the vet min. If I had to choose, though, like I do think Kirk Cousins is an interesting option. I'll talk about him a little bit here today. He's been somebody that, though, Devontae has already thrown out that name. But to me, I know it's been reported that it's unlikely that it's Jayden Daniels, but until I hear no, my answer is going to be Jayden Daniels. Like, until I hear there is a 0% chance, everything is realistic to me. Yeah. Like, everything is realistic to me at this point. I'll continue to say Jayden.
Yeah, I mean, I would want Jayden Daniels over Russell Wilson. I don't know how it gets there. I mean, you have to pray and hope that either the Bears keep Justin Fields and trade out of that pick and do whatever, or, something else happens within the top three. Because I do think right now, if I had to put any money on it, I'd go Williams, Drake May, Jayden Daniels with the teams that are at 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I think Caleb goes to Washington, however that ends up happening. But
I mean, if the Bears have the number 1 pick and they take him and they won't trade,
sure. I could see Caleb being the player that forces his way to Washington.
He's already refuted that, though.
A lot of smoke, though, around it. There's still a lot of smoke that have turned out to be true. So, we'll see. Justin, James Jett, another good OG Raider. Another good OG Raider. Urza, today's MVP. Dak is inconsistent also. Most quarterbacks are inconsistent. And Dak isn't somebody that I'm going to trade all that for plus pay him. Let's go to Godly Gill. Do you think the new OC will be the first fall guy if things don't work? Absolutely positively.
Yes.
Absolutely positively.
He already was, blaming Justin Fields, which, spoiler alert, that's why Mitch doesn't think the Raiders will trade for Justin Fields, because Getsy and Fields like oil and vinegar. They do not mix.
Getsy's already come out and said that he basically did things a certain way because that's what the Bears told him to do. So you can, if you wanted Justin Fields, you might as well throw that idea right out the window because that's not going to happen. But also my biggest fall, and one of the reasons why I got so frustrated with Getsy, and again, we talked to a lot of the Bears people here, and tell me if this story sounds familiar. Sounds like Getsy did a hell of a job in the first quarter. And then teams would adjust. They would take away what they did in the first quarter. And you can go back and you can look at all these numbers because it backs it up. And then for the final 3 quarters, Getsy just still tried to do the exact same thing he did in the first quarter. But it got stopped, but he was just unable to make any adjustments for the rest of the game. Tell me if you've heard that before. If anybody wants to get in our 50-50 raffle, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365, we're going to do this at the very end of the show. Good luck to everybody and for a chance to winning a little bit of money. Let's go to the Real Cowboy 30. I don't know who that is. I'm stumped. I have absolutely, positively no idea who that is.
All right.
And I'm not even going to act like I do. This almost makes me wonder, is this like Kenny the Jet?
Oh, you don't remember Rocket Ismail, the Raiders wide receiver? He's 54 years old. Okay, this is
What?
numbers juiced. On Google, it says he ran a 4.2840.
That's moving. I don't
That
know
had that had to have been hand time.
I mean, it's unofficial.
Had to have been
It's definitely
hand
an
time.
unofficial time, but still fast.
Let's see. He was a Raider for 3 seasons.
Caesar said he was effing fast. I mean, that's cool. See, that's why I like to tell me a random Raider, because
And you know what?
I learn new things all the time.
Best 2 seasons with the Carolina Panthers
Okay.
as an expansion franchise in 90.
So my dad just said he's from my area, Wilkes-Barre, PA.
And then
My dad knows who he is.
1999 with the Cowboys were his 2 best years. So 98 and 99. He is from PA, yeah.
Okay.
He went to Elmer L. Myers High School,
Matt Fluhey, you in?
if you know that.
I have no idea. And then Willie Pfister, also in.
Yes.
Coming up here live on today's show, let's look at the Raiders plan at quarterback rankings with Luke Getsy, and then a mock draft with Getsy. Chugs, you ready to get this thing rocking and rolling?
I think so.
Are y'all ready to get this thing rocking and rolling? Yeah, I'll be honest, slaughterproof. I did not know.
To be honest, though,
Do a lot of people
for like Raiders lore, his best season was 500 yards with the Raiders.
Sounds like Seth Roberts to me.
He had 1 season of 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. Besides that, with the Raiders.
I mean, you said what? He's 54. So
His
what years did he play for the Raiders?
His last season with the Raiders, he fumbled 4 times.
But what years did he play for the Raiders?
93, 94, 95.
I don't remember those years very well.
3 seasons, and he wasn't, like, amazing.
Yeah, I was born in 93. I'll be real with you. I don't remember those years too well. You just see little Mitch.
You don't remember you as a 2-year-old watching The Rocket?
Nope. The only Rocket I remember is Kenny the Jet. Great movie. It's a great movie. All right, Jeremy, I say we get into this bad boy right now. So far, Willie Pfister, Matt Fluhey are the first 2 people that are in our duck race. We're going to do this one at the very, very end of today's show. I got 3 awesome quarterback segments coming up for each and every one of y'all, so hopefully you enjoy what you see. But the first one is going to be around what I believe the Raiders' plan is at the quarterback position. You ready? Jeremy's ready. You guys ready? Let's get this thing going right now. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, my prediction on the Raiders' plan at quarterback with Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce, and Luke Getsy as the offensive coordinator. All good plans, you need to have multiple steps. Like, you need to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. I'm going to tell you what each and every one of those are for the Silver and Black. But if you've ever wondered, Mitch, why should I subscribe to the Raiders Report? If there's one thing I feel like I've gotten right on this channel, it's quarterback predictions. And last offseason, we predicted that Derek Carr was going to get moved on from, that the Raiders would sign Jimmy Garoppolo, and that they would draft Aiden O'Connell. So guess what? I got the track record, but then if you also want news and rumors videos, because the way that you find the plan out for QB is following the latest news, following the rumors. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and I'm going to be bringing the fire each and every day this season. So hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and when we go live, we get pretty lit here, and I don't want you to miss it. So here, let's go look at the Raiders quarterback plan, and the way that this is going to go is just like every good plan. And I think when I say this, I want y'all to think about when you come up with something. Like, there's going to be a plan A in every situation that you do. And what good people do is they're prepared for plan B. Well, what happens if plan B doesn't go well? Well, then you go with plan C. Oh, Mitch, what happens if plan C doesn't go well? Well, then you got to look to plan D. Bottom line is you need to have all these things laid out. And to me, plan A is probably the most simple one out of the entire equation. I know what Tom Telesco likes. I know what Antonio Pierce likes. I know the type of offense that Luke Getsy runs. And I think a lot of times people think of the Luke Getsy offense being very old school minded, and it's actually a lot more spread than actually what I originally thought. Yes, there are some screens. Yes, he does want a vertical passing game, but the Luke Getsy offense is a lot more creative after I've watched a lot more film on it than I originally anticipated. But plan A for the Las Vegas Raiders is this guy. It's Jayden Daniels, the quarterback for LSU. To me, if you were to ask Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco, Luke Getsy, in a perfect world, in your perfect world, that's what plan A should be. Perfect world, who's your guy? It's Jayden frickin' Daniels. Here's the thing, though. The only way that you can assure yourself that you're going to get Jayden is by trading up to the number 1 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. Because you can't sit here and say, oh, we could trade up to 3. He might not be there. And you're not going to trade all the way up there to not get your guy. And this is a report that's from Jeremy Fowler that was released today. The Las Vegas Raiders, at pick number 13, might be a team to watch for Jayden Daniels. New coach Antonio Pierce is a big fan of Daniels from their days together at Arizona State. And word is that Pierce evaluated offensive coordinators with the loose possibility of Daniels in mind. That is a source coming from Fowler telling you that, guess what? Jayden Daniels has been mentioned and has been in conversations with Antonio Pierce. But here's the thing. The only way that you're going to guarantee yourself getting Jayden Daniels is if you trade up to the number 1 pick. Now, I'll tell you this. If you're going to give me some far-fetched idea of what it's going to cost to get up to number 1, I'm not going to do it. If you give me a fair and honest trade evaluation to go up to that number 1 pick, well, then, yes, I am going to do it. But you know what? This show's about all of y'all, and I want you to go down in the comment sections right now and let me know, yes or no, should the Raiders trade up for the number 1 pick? If you want Jayden Daniels, go frickin' do it. I think at times you got to be able to make tough decisions in life, but when you know you want something, go get it. And if Jayden turns out to be that franchise quarterback, it's worth every single pick. And here's the other thing, and I know it's a crazy idea, but there's a little bit of a part of me, and I know it from the movie Draft Day. There's a little bit of a part of me that kind of wants to say, F you, Kliff Kingsbury, F you to the Washington Commanders, trade up to number 1. You pick up the phone, you give Kliff Kingsbury a call, and you go, we're taking Caleb Williams at number 1. Unless you want him. Then you just trade it up to 1, you go back to number 2. It's an insane idea to even throw out there, but if there's ever been a chance where I think it might actually happen, you tell them you're going to draft Caleb, they trade up to 1, you trade back to 2, and then you get your guy Jayden Daniels plus some extra picks. Believe me, it's crazy, but that's what plan A here is for. So the other reason why that I'm confident that they want Jayden Daniels and that this is where they were going to go no matter what over Caleb Williams, over Drake May, look at the timeline. Daniels' Heisman speech. Shout out to Antonio Pierce. Shout out to Marvin Lewis. Guess what? Both of them are here. Jayden Daniels in the locker room after Week 18 when the Raiders beat the Donkeys. Devontae Adams speaks highly of Jayden Daniels this offseason. Daniels says that he wants to be a Raider, and when I say that he wants to be a Raider, it's from a social media post where, shout out to Sella here, tracks down Jayden Daniels, basically says Heisman Trophy winner Jayden Daniels said he wants to come to the dark side. Guess who likes this tweet right here? This guy, Antonio Pierce. Where there is smoke, there is fire, and I get it. There is a lot of speculation. But to me, when people in the NFL do this type of thing, you need to watch. You need to listen. And no, it might not ever come into fruition. But I know for a fact that Antonio Pierce is the type of coach, when he wants somebody, he's going to go out and get him, just like he did with Jack Jones. And if that's their guy, and this is the dude that they're trying to build around, then yes, I do think that this is the dude that they're rolling with. So to me, this is the entire plan A situation. Raiders trade up to number 1. You get Jayden Daniels at a fair offer, and then you roll with Aiden O'Connell as the backup. If you're wondering, Mitch, what exactly would it cost to trade up to number 1? The cost, according to a source close to me at the NFL Draft, said it's probably going to be around your first 3 picks this year, your first 3 picks next year, and then a starting caliber player. If that's what it costs to get Jayden Daniels, I'll do it. It's going to cost a lot. I get it. But then again, I'm going to pick up the phone, and I'm going to give Kliff Kingsbury a call, and I'm going to say, we're taking Caleb Williams, throw me an extra pick or 2, and then let's make this thing happen. Coming up next here on the show, Plan B for the Las Vegas Raiders. And Plan B is the one, I'll be real with you, is the plan that I think is the most likely to happen. So I'll tell you what the most likely plan is for the Silver and Black. But first, I got to tell you about our sponsor today, PrizePicks. And I think a lot of Raider fans are just like me. I think a lot of Raider fans are out there like, what the heck am I going to do on Sunday when the 49ers and Chiefs play? I don't want to root for the 49ers. I don't want to root for the Chiefs. Mitch, tell me what to do. Here's honestly what you should do. You should go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. And make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. It is daily fantasy sports made easy. There's a reason why it's the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. And you can put some money in your pocket. Like for me, for this big game, I put down $20. I have a chance to make $200. But the reason why this is the perfect game for Raider fans is because if you pick a player, right, and you pick receiving yards, rushing yards, all I need is one catch from Juszczyk, passing yards with Mahomes. I mean, I don't care what it is. You're going to watch that game, and all you're going to care about is to make sure Pacheco scores a touchdown, to make sure Brock Purdy, if once he starts scrambling, you're going to be up on your feet. You're going to be like, go Purdy, pick up that first down because I want to get the more on PrizePicks. Bottom line is you're going to be entertained for the entire game with a chance to make some money. Put your money where your mouth is. Put your intelligence here. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Let's go to plan B here for the Raiders at quarterback. It is the Raiders sign Kirk Cousins in free agency and trade up in the draft for Bo Nix. When I say trade up, I do not mean trading up from 13 up higher. It is you take the best player available at 13, and then you take probably your second-round pick at 44, and then a pick in next year's draft. You use that probably like second or third-round pick to trade up and select Bo Nix in the back half of the first round, or I think literally at right at pick 33, because the New England Patriots pick at 34, and if they don't end up taking a QB in round 3 or at pick number 3, that's where I think New England might be able to steal a guy. But here's the plan that I do think is the most likely. And the reason why that I say it's the most likely is because I had a source tell me over the weekend the Raiders are looking for a veteran quarterback. That doesn't mean that they're going to sign a veteran quarterback, but they are looking at their veteran quarterback options. Davante Adams vouched for Kirk Cousins in a podcast and was one of the biggest people saying that, hey, I support Luke Getsy, and I would want Getsy here as the Raiders offensive coordinator. So, with that being said, you know that Davante Adams has a good relationship with Getsy from their time back in the Green Bay Packers from 2014 to 2017 when Davante was putting up some serious numbers, and Cousins could also be a reliable bridge quarterback. But the reason why you subscribe to the show, the reason why you need to follow along with all the rumors, and yes, I get it, they're rumors, but they are important, it's because of this right here. The report, Cousins is looking for a 2-year deal. That was put out last week. The deal was sure. He was looking for $45 million guaranteed, $90 million in total, but it should not surprise you that the report comes out Kirk Cousins looking for a 2-year deal. Then I put out on social media, Raiders offered Kliff Kingsbury a 2-year deal, and everyone's like, well, why isn't that such a big deal? What if your plan is to bring in Cousins on a bridge on a 2-year deal, and then you go to the next guy? If you're Kliff and you don't want to deal with that, then that's a big-time deal breaker. Kingsbury only wants Caleb Williams. And if you know that, this should really speak volumes. On top of that, though, my guy Graphic Raider is one of the most well-connected dudes right now in the nation, especially with Tom Telesco. And when you see this tweet back on January 26, 2024, per source, Telesco likes Bo Nix. I've also been told by my sources, Bo Nix is absolutely a quarterback that Telesco likes. Not a big fan of J.J. McCarthy. Also sees Caleb Williams potentially forcing his way to D.C. to his hometown at number 2. It's not a surprise that Kliff left the Raiders and went to the Commanders, the team that told him that, yes, we're going to do everything in our power to go get Caleb Williams. The bottom line is you need to read the tea leaves. So you go out, you sign Kirk Cousins on a 2-year deal. I don't think it's going to cost you $45 million a year. It's probably going to be about $35 million, though, a year. But if you were Telesco and you knew that you liked Bo Nix and you knew that he wasn't ready to go right away, you draft best player available at 13. You try to build in the draft. You try to save a lot of that draft capital. You invest heavily in free agency in your offensive line and your defense. But the Raiders then, you go from 44. You try to trade up, let's say, to either back half of round 1 or, again, pick number 33. You go get your guy Bo Nix, because if Telesco does really like him, and from everything I have heard, he does really like him, he knows that he's not ready to start right away. So what does also Luke Getsy know? Luke Getsy knows the Packer way, where you draft a QB, you let them learn for 2 years, and then you hand the keys to the car. It should not be a coincidence that all of those things happen in a very short amount of time, which is why I think Plan B is the most likely option for the Las Vegas Raiders, whether you like it or not. So rate my Plan B. Wow. Sign Cousins and draft Bo Nix. If you said right now, that the Raiders sign Kirk Cousins, and then they end up drafting Bo Nix the way that I explained it, how would you rate that? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1, you absolutely hate it. 10, you freaking love it. Let me know down below, because for me personally, based on this, I would probably put this in terms of excitement for me personally, I would probably put it at a 3 or 4. It's not the route that I would go if I'm Las Vegas, and I've kind of outlined this idea before, because to me, I don't want to sign a quarterback that you can't use the entire offseason because he's got that ruptured Achilles. It does scare me. But then again, you totally ignored Devontae Adams last season, and this is something that Devontae wants. So I'm going to listen. I'm going to trust Antonio Pierce makes the right decision. Coming up next here is Raiders Plan C at quarterback. I want Plan C to happen. I'll tell you that right now. I think a lot of Raider fans want Plan C to happen. And what if Cousins goes somewhere else? Well, then Plan B is shot. What happens if you know that you're not going to be able to trade up to number 1? This is where Plan C and Plan D come around. If anybody wants to party with Jeremy Chuggs and I, big game watch party this Sunday. It's going down, and I want y'all to pull up here with the entire nation. We're at the Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel inside Ahern Live Showroom. Here is the address. Put it in your phone right now. It starts at this time, though. I've been told they might open the doors up a little early. If you want to reserve your spot, it's chatsports.com/biggame. That link's available to you down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. If you want to reserve a seat, there are 2 different packages that you can do, $99 and $149. If you want to get on the show, I'd say VIP package. Unlimited drinks and unlimited food. If you want to see what the food and drinks are, again, it's all listed in there at that link. It is free to attend, but there is limited space. And I'm just going to tell you right now, the nation's been showing out. So if you were like, oh, Mitch, I'm going to wait to show up and not get my ticket, you can. But I have seen how many reservations have been made, and I'll tell you this, I would feel a lot better if you know for a fact that you want to go, just get the all-you-can-eat, all-you-can-drink deal, because that way I know for a fact that you're going to be able to get in, because it's getting crowded. I'm just telling you right now. One more time, reserve your spot, chatsports.com/biggame. Let's go to Plan C. So, Jayden Daniels, you tried to trade up to number 1, it didn't work. Cousins, Bo Nix, let's say, Kirk Cousins gone to free agent, that plan doesn't work. Plan C is this. You trade to number 3. And out of all the ideas, this one is the one that I like the most. And I know what people are going to say. How can you trade to number 3, Mitch? They're not going to give it up. Well, if you've actually followed a lot of the reports that have been coming out of New England over the past 24 hours, one of the guys that's the most well-connected Patriots insider, Phil Perry from NBC Boston Sports basically said that the New England Patriots might not draft a quarterback in the top 3. And he's kind of making a case that the Patriots could trade for Justin Fields, more of the idea of if you're New England, you take Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 3, you trade for Justin Fields, who thinks that could be the quarterback that you're potentially looking for. So you trade your 2nd or 3rd round pick for Justin Fields, you draft Marvin Harrison Jr., and if that ends up happening, well, then if you're the Raiders, you could already just be at number 3. So if you're wondering, Mitch, what could it potentially cost to get to number 3? It's this. And this is the trade that I've thrown out there before. To get up to 3, Raiders get the number 3 overall pick. The Patriots, they get number 13 and number 77, so your 1st and 3rd round pick. Yeah, you get a 1st round pick in 2025 and then a starting caliber player. Let's just say you send Jacoby Myers back to New England if that's a guy that they want, because the Raiders are going to try to add some vertical passing threats this year. I'm telling you right now, they're going to try to do it. Is this a lot to give up? Sure, but it's a lot less than what the 1st overall pick is. And I know you don't know exactly who that quarterback is going to be. And if you're not sold on Jayden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and Drake May, you don't make that trade. I do make that trade. I am sold on Drake May. I am sold on Jayden Daniels. I am sold on Caleb Williams. I'll admit, Caleb ain't coming to the Raiders. He's going to go to the Commanders. So if you're trading on that 3, you know in the back of your mind, I got a chance to get Jayden Daniels. I got a chance to get Drake May. Those are odds I'm willing to take, because both of those QBs to me are going to be great quarterbacks in the National Football League. That's why Plan C is actually my favorite plan. But guess what? There's a chance that Plan C doesn't happen, because there's a chance that the New England Patriots don't trade number 3. So then what do? This is where you got to go to Plan D here. And Plan D is, you like to roll dice. You like Las Vegas. You like to get a little bit risky here, because Plan D is where all the risk is involved. But sometimes you got to do that when you're in Vegas. So my risky plan is this. You sign a cheap free agent quarterback. My cheap free agent quarterback is not Kirk Cousins. It is, can I potentially get Russell Wilson on the $1.21 million deal? And you're like, Mitch, that's never going to happen. Go watch my Russell Wilson video on the Raiders Report. Look up on YouTube, Russell Wilson, Raiders Report. It's going to be a picture of Russell Wilson literally pointing to a Raiders logo. Click on that, and that'll explain everything of why I do actually think Russell will sign the vet min. So you go cheap quarterback like Russell Wilson, or maybe you sign a Ryan Tannehill. It's gross. I get it. Ryan Tannehill's a gross option, or maybe you try to stick with Aiden O'Connell. But the idea is this. You sign a cheap veteran QB in free agency, and then you hope that maybe Jayden Daniels falls, that maybe a quarterback falls in the draft, because every year there are QBs that fall, and you don't know exactly what's going to happen in the draft. And if Jayden Daniels doesn't fall, well, then you can potentially trade up for a Bo Nix in the back half of round 1. And the reason why you don't let it get to round 2 is because if you know that you're at this point and you've tried all of your options, this is where I think the Raiders go, still best player available at 13, but then they try to trade up into the early 20s to try to get their guy in Bo Nix. That's plan D. So here's one more time the Raiders quarterback plan for this upcoming season. Plan A, Jayden Daniels. That's the guy that they want. I know for a fact it's the guy that the Raiders want, and in a perfect world, Jayden Daniels is the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback this season. Well, let's say you can't trade up to number 1 and guarantee yourself getting Jayden. Plan B is Kirk Cousins and Bo Nix. Get that through your head, because everything that I've heard, this is the most likely option for the Raiders. It's not the option that they 100% want, but this is the most likely option. Plan C, you trade to number 3, and then you just hope that one of your top quarterbacks is there, and you don't look at free agency. Plan D, you bring in that cheap quarterback, and then you roll the dice in the draft. Hopefully, Jayden Daniels falls, and if he does fall, you try to go get him then. Or if he doesn't fall, he goes in the top 3, then you try to go get Bo Nix. Bottom line is the 3 quarterbacks that have the most likely chance to be on the Raiders this season, it's Jayden Daniels, Kirk Cousins, and Bo Nix. So, most likely option is Plan B, Cousins and Nix. My favorite option is Plan C, trading up to number 3, and then that gives you a shot at Jayden Daniels. It gives you a shot at Drake May. If you think that there's any options that I missed, hey, let me know. Again, this is a prediction. This is a projection. This is based on me taking all the rumors, taking off all the news that has been out there, based on me talking to the people that I've talked to over the past week and putting all this information together in a video. This is what I believe the Raiders' plan is at quarterback for 2024. That was a lot. What do we got? We got some new stuff? Oh, wow. I like it.
I thought that was pretty funny.
I mean, I like it. But see, like, that's why I respect Antonio Pierce.
Antonio Pierce, when asked about what happened with Kliff Kingsbury, his response, I don't talk about guys that aren't Raiders.
I respect it. I'm not going to lie. I respect that answer.
That's tough.
I mean, but, like, that's why he's great. That's why, to me, Antonio Pierce is that guy.
He said, let the big dogs eat, and if you're a puppy, stay pissing on the porch.
If you're a pussy, I love it. Who's the best quarterback to pair with Luke Getsy? I also want to say...
That was almost really bad.
It might have been bad. Justine Gilbert in. Also, P.J. Simmons in. Ryan Campbell is in 3 times.
I'll check that out later, Daniel Caps-Keenan. He said, Mitch, you got to watch...
Randall Carter in.
You got to watch AP's interview on...
Amy in. My dad in.
On the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, I will have to. I saw that he went today. I'll tell you what. I am really hoping I get a chance to sit down. If I see Antonio Pierce at Media Row tomorrow, I am going to just scream Raiders. I'm going to do everything I can to be like, AP, I need 5 minutes of your time. 5 minutes of your time. That's going to be the number 1 person I try to get
10.
tomorrow. Maybe 10 or 12. We'll see. What up, Sean? Denarius Moore, Michael Rivera.
Get to 8.
Memo. What are the chances Raiders still trade for Fields after hiring Getsy? 0. New team and new players. You could see a different result from the pair. They don't want to be with each other. Also, I do got to change my jersey, so just give me a minute, and I'm just going to go get some water.
Goo Lagoon. What are the chances Raiders still trade up for Fields? I think we've already talked about this in the show a little bit, Memo. Not high. Not high. Napoleon Kaufman from John Rodriguez. And then Samuel says Philip Buchanan, number 31, D in special teams. Hey, absolutely love it. Plan B sounds like going to the pharmacy after a night of regret. You're not wrong, Real Cowboy. Rusty Nail, I'm behind Mitch, but Kobe as a trade candidate? No way. But Kobe. Jacoby Myers. Yeah. I know he was advertising for bounce this week, but we can't bounce that man. Should be QB2. We're talking about Jacoby Myers, right?
I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you, Rusty Nail. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. Maybe wide receiver too. Like, again, I do think that Jacoby Myers is a really good wide receiver too. It's just I am merely speculating based on Antonio Pierce saying that they want to go more down the field, vertical passing attack with more speed. Devontae Adams is a great route runner, not a fast receiver. Jacoby Myers, not a fast receiver. Yes, you have Trey Tucker, but like if you're legitimately going to try to go more vertical, you need more speed.
You know who I love for the Raiders this offseason?
What's up?
My free agent darling for the Raiders, if they can get him, Curtis Samuel from the Commanders. Speedster, coming off a little bit of did good in Washington.
Yeah.
Speedster could come in.
I think he'd fit the Luke Getsy offense. All right, y'all, we got 1,500 people here in the building. Friendly reminder that at the end of today's show, we are going to do a 50-50 raffle, $20 Venmo to get in for a chance to win some money. We got Raider Ray, you in. Robert De Liberto, you also in. So as it stands right now, $20 Venmo to win $120. Good luck to everybody playing. Next segment coming up here on the show. Scott Eckert, you in.
AOC has better vision than Fields. We just need to draft an offensive line that can give AOC 12 seconds on every play.
There's no way that's a real statement.
No, he just said we need to draft better O-linemen.
Oh.
I mean, you had a top 10, top 12 offensive line.
Yeah, anybody that's blaming the offensive line for Aiden O'Connell doesn't know ball. I don't know who is saying it. I can't see it in the comments, but
AOC
that just doesn't know ball. He's a backup, and that's okay. The real Gary Gensler, offensive tackle at 13, round 2 defensive line, round 3 Fields. It's not going to happen. Again, we talked a lot about Justin Fields. Throw the Justin Fields ideas out the window. Getsy literally said, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, that it was Fields' fault, not his. So as soon as you see something like that, it's not going to happen. Justin Fields, no way he's coming to the Raiders.
And also, not like Justin Fields really has that much of a say, but I feel like he would be extremely upset getting traded to the Raiders with Luke Getsy.
He doesn't want to come to the Raiders. I mean, why would you trade for a quarterback that doesn't want to come to your team? Like, he does not want to play for the Raiders because he doesn't want to be with Luke Getsy. Why would you trade for him?
Mitch, how likely are we to trade up into the top 3? Also, shout out to you and Jeremy. Love the vids.
Jay, I appreciate that. Jay, can you do me a favor? Get a picture. You can see us. I can't see you. 10% chance. I know the Raiders are going to try, but it's not an easy thing to just go up, especially when the teams picking in the top 3 all need a quarterback.
Jersey boy, call me crazy, but I don't like store-bought pesto. But do the trade to number 3 and send Jacoby back to New England, then get Daniels at number 3, and then sign Mike Evans?
To me, Mike Evans wouldn't be the guy that you would sign, and the only reason why I say that, Evans is an incredible, incredible receiver. However, though, I think he's going to try to get $23 to $25 million this offseason. If I'm going to spend $23 to $25 million on a position in free agency, I'd rather you go spend that money on the defensive tackle spot, where then I probably look at a cheaper wide receiver or just going out and drafting a wide receiver. Jeremy keeps saying Curtis Samuel. I agree with Curtis Samuel.
I like that. I like maybe Gabe Davis if he's not too expensive as well.
I mean, Gabe Davis might be more. I guess my bigger point is you have Devontae Adams. Michael Mayer is going to be a major pass catcher this year. You're going to have Trey Tucker. He's going to step up this season. I'm telling you. And I don't like throwing out this guy's name because of what he did. But when you look at the jump that Ruggs made from his rookie season to year 2, that's what I anticipate seeing from Trey Tucker this season, is making that jump and him turning into a much better receiver because the separation he gets.
You know who
is
could
impressive.
also be a sneaky pickup for the Raiders and makes actually a lot of sense? Darnell Mooney had his best year with Luke Getsy.
I don't think he did, though.
Right?
Darnell, I believe, was really good in 2021. And I think the last 2 years he was pretty underwhelming. He did battle some injuries. That's off the top of my head, though. I think he had his best year in 2021 when Getsy wasn't the OC.
And then, 2022 he got hurt. I guess the last 2 years he got hurt.
I mean, he battled some injuries. Darnell Mooney's an intriguing player, but again, I don't know if that's the route that they go. I would say no to Mooney.
I thought he had that year in 2022.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking, because the one, but that was in 2021, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would want another vertical passing attack because.
Yeah, never mind. Raiders should not get Darnell Mooney. Lorenzo.
Raiders! Shout out to Lorenzo. Kent, who was the main Raiders brass to hire Getsy?
I believe it was a trumpet.
That's such a terrible dad joke. I'm not going to lie. I might steal that. So I don't know how, but I might steal that. That was a bad joke. Everybody, grade Jeremy's dad joke, A, B, C, D, or F. From what I understand, Devontae did have some say in who was going to be the OC, and Devontae vouched for Getsy. However, the Raiders had a bunch of people, like the people that did all the hirings for the GM head coach. But then on top of that, I do know that Adam Gase was somebody that was involved in the whole hiring situation. But Getsy was somebody that interviewed, I believe, with 3 other teams on top of that. But he gave the best answer of what the Raiders' quarterback plan was. John, I'd be happy with Jacoby Brissett or Lamar's backup, Tyler Huntley.
A lot of Tyler Huntley fans have been coming out of the woodworks these past 2 weeks.
Here's the thing. I would rather you roll with Aiden O'Connell.
He was a Pro Bowler.
Who?
Tyler Huntley.
That's true. That's why the Pro Bowl is a joke at quarterback. Like, let's just throw that out there right now. There's no way you want Tyler Huntley to start. There's no way you want Jacoby Brissett to start. And when I say I would rather roll with Aiden O'Connell, it's because you're going to have to pay Jacoby Brissett then $12 million. Like, would you rather have Jacoby Brissett? Hear me out.
Husker, I said the same thing.
What? Sam Howell? Would you rather have Jacoby Brissett and Zamir White, or would you rather have Aiden O'Connell and Josh Jacobs?
Probably Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah? Okay. I don't know if I would. And the only reason why I say that is because I would rather use, if you're going to send $10 million on Jacoby, I don't know if Jacoby Brissett and Aiden O'Connell are that much different. I don't know if they are. Where then I would rather get the running back that I know for a fact is better.
I just don't I will continue to say I will run a half marathon if Aiden O'Connell ever becomes a unanimous Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
If he is a Pro Bowl starting quarterback at any point.
What if he's a Tyler Huntley type of Pro Bowl?
No, he's got to start. He can't be a reserve.
Okay.
Like in the Pro Bowl, like voted on whenever they're still before the playoffs.
Yeah, my point is for Raider fans, it's not just about moving on from a quarterback. It's moving on from somebody and legitimately getting somebody that gives you a chance.
Mo Money says AOC equals Aiden O'Connell. I think Aiden O'Connell's ceiling is the worst version of Derek Carr. Like, the worst Derek Carr is what you hope AOC can become.
What Derek Carr was from 2017 to 2022, that's what you're hoping Aiden is. Nobody wants that. No, there's no way that a Raider fan wants a quarterback that you know is never going to be a top 10 quarterback. Let alone, if Aiden can get into the top 20 after this year, that would be a hell of a season by Aiden. It really would be. I also see another one coming in here. We got a few more questions about some quarterbacks. I think the next one is from Blake. Shout out to my buddy Trav. He's a huge Raider fan. Shout out to my buddy Trav.
My guy, Travy Trav.
Shout out to Trav. What up, John? How about Tyrod Taylor? To me, how would you feel?
Spam Trav.
How would you feel if for your birthday or for Christmas, somebody last minute went to a yard sale and said, here's your gift? Like, that's what Tyrod Taylor is to me. He is a yard sale item that nobody wants anymore. You're going to quickly wrap it up and give it off as a gift. Tyrod Taylor is shoes at a yard sale.
Yeah.
Jeremy needs shoes. I'm giving him a pair of shoes. You should be happy that I'm giving you a pair of shoes. Where'd you get them? Yard sale. That's Tyrod Taylor. No. 50-50 raffle, $20 to get in. Right now, as it stands,
Aiden O'Connell is like
20 to win, 130.
Aiden O'Connell is like Goodwill.
Especially if you're Goodwill hunting. Especially that. 20 to get in. I know, not as good. I got to try to top your brass joke. I don't know how I'm going to do it today. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
20 to win right now, 130. Segment coming up next here on the Raiders Report is going to be my Raiders quarterback rankings for Getsy. And this is going to be ranked on who is the most likely to be the starter for the Silver and Black.
I almost wish AOC was the quarterback this next season, just so everybody that loves AOC in the chat can see him throughout this whole season and just feel the anguish of watching a Raiders team led by Aiden O'Connell. Like,
you don't want that.
I almost do.
You don't.
I almost want to prove to these people that
no, you don't.
He is not the guy.
To me, it has nothing to do with them actually thinking Aiden's good. I think it's literally just he's the Raiders quarterback.
I guarantee you, every single offensive coordinator, whenever they came in for an interview, their first question is, who's going to be the quarterback because it's not AOC? I guarantee you, in every OC meeting, they said, who are we planning on being the quarterback next season? Because I do not want Aiden O'Connell. I can guarantee, bet money, bet your bottom dollar.
If Antonio Pierce was like, hey, Aiden O'Connell's going to be our starting quarterback, I would scream from the rooftops, get rid of Antonio
Matthew
Pierce.
says Jeremy hates the Raiders. If I hated the Raiders, I would want AOC to be the quarterback. I would say, please make Aiden O'Connell the quarterback.
Facts. I think that is, which again, and this is the problem I think with Raider fans, just because you say, I don't like Aiden O'Connell as a starter, then you get some people that are like, oh, that means you don't like the Raiders. I think anybody that wants to keep Aiden O'Connell as the Raiders quarterback doesn't like the Raiders.
I think this is a great question from The Truth Hurts Sometimes, which, great name as well. What other team would AOC start on? Can you name one team besides the Raiders that if you put AOC on that team, he would be the starter? I'll wait.
Let's look real quick. I mean, because off the top, he's not starting for the Bills, not for the Dolphins. Right now, based off the quarterbacks that are right now here, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Because I also think, like, he's not going to start for the Patriots because the Patriots would take a quarterback better than Aiden at number 3. Like, that also has to go into this equation. Aaron Rodgers, nope. Lamar Jackson, no. Burrow, no. Deshaun Watson, no. Steelers, Mason Rudolph, or Aiden O'Connell?
I'm going Mason Rudolph.
To be honest, it's close. That one's close. Kenny, the same thing though with Kenny Pickett. C.J. Stroud, no. Anthony Richardson, no. Trevor Lawrence, no. Will Levis, no. Russell Wilson, no. Mahomes, no. Herbert, no. Dak, no. Daniel Jones, no. Jalen Hurts, no. I take Sam Howell over Aiden O'Connell. Fields, Goff, Jordan Love, Kirk Cousins. Atlanta had Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ridder. I'd probably take Desmond Ridder over Aiden O'Connell. Bryce Young, Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy, Geno Smith. To me, the only person that it really comes up into a discussion is the Pittsburgh Steelers based off of where they're drafting. So, again, you're looking at the 31st, 32nd QB potentially, but then there's other backups that are better.
Just imagine Raider fans if they actually had a good quarterback that they could just love. Like, y'all are the desperate girl in high school who is willing to love anybody because you just want a partner.
Robert Gonzalez says, Mac Jones, question mark. I mean, my question to you is this. Mac Jones in 1 year, his first year, and this is why Mac Jones to me is better than Aiden. Mac Jones in his first year with Josh McDaniels went to the Pro Bowl.
Like, everybody who
Aiden O'Connell is not better than Mac Jones. Would you want Mac Jones? No.
Everybody who wants AOC right now, you're like a pick-me girl. You're like, oh my God, please love me. Please love me.
I mean, you can hate on Josh McDaniels all you want, but if you want a legit apples-to-apples comparison, would any single Raider fan right here want Mac Jones as their starting quarterback in 2024? Why for yes and for no? Because if you're preaching for Aiden, Mac Jones was better with Josh McDaniels in year one than what Aiden O'Connell was with Josh McDaniels in year one. Like, I don't understand how anybody could want Aiden O'Connell. Nobody wants Mac Jones. The only reason why people want Aiden is because he was the Raiders quarterback last
Eric
season.
M., this is crazy. Baker's the best free agent quarterback, and it's not even close. More playoff wins, good locker room guy, not too expensive, no loss in draft picks. I agree, Eric,
Does
but
he have more playoff wins than Kirk?
I know he has.
He's got what, 2?
Yeah.
I think he's got 2 playoff wins. I don't know if that's more than Kirk Cousins.
I don't think Kirk has a playoff win.
Really? There's no way, dude.
Or he has 1. I don't know how many. I don't think he has a ton.
Kirk Cousins 1-4 in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he has like 1. Yeah, 1.
1 and
but
that's wild.
Eric, the reason why we haven't discussed him as much is because the belief is, and what Mitch thinks is that Baker's going to just re-sign with the Bucs.
Yeah, if you're Tampa Bay, why would you not bring back Baker Mayfield? Like, you won your division. Also, Michigan defensive line coach Mike Elston is expected to take the same job with the Chargers. That's breaking news that just came in around the AFC West. I think Baker's a good QB, but again, are you going to give Baker Mayfield $25 million per year to be your guy? Like, if I'm Baker, I'd want to go back to Tampa Bay. Let's go to Carter Harlow. I know you can't predict the future, but remember this past season, most quarterbacks would hurt, so you're going to have to make decisions for backup too. Yeah, I get you, and I said it before. I mean, this year I think I've said only 9 out of the 32 starting quarterbacks played all 16 or 17 games. 66 different quarterbacks went under center this season. I mean, that's the most that it's been in a very, very long time. I think that's the other reason why people love Aiden. Aggressive. Sounds like Chugs has a personal beef with AOC.
I
Not at all.
am going to watch every single Raiders game next year. I know some people tune out once the Raiders are out of it. Some people do whatever. We are here for every single game, watching live, breaking down,
every day,
doing watch parties. I don't want next year to be me watching the Raiders offense struggle. That's not fun for me to do. That's not fun coming in on a Sunday and being like, oh, I get to watch Aiden O'Connell sling it against whoever. Like, I want to have fun watching games.
You can't have the game. And I think when you watch a team like the Raiders, and this past season was so frustrating because their defense was finally elite. And you can't put up points. Their inability to put up points.
The best, most exciting game of the year is when Aiden O'Connell completed 9 passes against the Chiefs.
And he didn't complete any in the final 3 quarters.
Like,
I think when people
I'm sorry I want the team to be good.
It's the same when people said, I didn't like Derek Carr, I had a beef with him. It's not I don't have a beef with Derek Carr. It's I got a beef with people that think Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback. I got beef with people that think that Aiden is a starter.
I just want the Raiders to be good. I'm not a fanboy of a certain player and have my glasses on and say, oh, you know what? No matter what happens, I love this guy. I want the Raiders to be good.
Chargers game was pretty exciting. It was electric, but that's the outlier, right? Like, you can't look at the Chargers game and be like, oh, this is Aiden O'Connell.
ITK says nobody can go toe-to-toe with Mahomes. I mean, Joe Burrow did, and he beat him. So,
I mean, people can. People have. I mean, Mahomes is great.
You need a good quarterback. So if you're saying, oh, there's no way AOC can go toe-to-toe with Mahomes, then why just push the can down the road and be like, oh, we know this guy will never be as good as Mahomes or never even be able to compete with him, but we're going to just keep him around. That makes no sense.
I hear you. PJ, let's just get Cam Newton. Just kidding. All right, I was going to say, man, y'all are trying to troll me right now. Kevin, trade Jacoby Hunter and a 3rd overall pick for DJ Moore. Yeah, that's the Bears hang up the phone. Wait, and a 3rd. Wait, I think you mean a 3rd round pick. Yeah, they're not going to, because Hunter Renfro's a 7th round pick at best. I think Jacoby, let's say, gets traded for probably like 3rd, 4th round pick. They just, No way. I'm not even going to entertain it. John, Mitch, I want these guys as a backup to either Wilson, because if Wilson goes down, then AOC will be your backup. AOC needs to be the 3rd or 4th quarterback or get rid of him.
And ITK saying, oh, that's an outlier, the Chiefs game. You mentioned the Chargers game, which is the biggest outlier.
Yeah.
A game where the Chargers stunk. You put up a franchise record, had multiple defensive touchdowns. Their defense was awful.
We're good. Smoke, AOC will be a serviceable backup in the league, and he's going to make millions of dollars doing it. In no way, shape, or form do I want him starting next year. I'd rather have Joe Flacco, old ass, instead.
I agree.
I mean, who would you rather have in the playoffs? Because to me, that's where that conversation goes. And if I'm a team looking for a backup, I would want a player, my backup quarterback, to be who do I legitimately think could help me in the playoffs? And I know it's a tough conversation to have, but Joe Flacco or Aiden? I'm going to take Joe Flacco, which that pains me to say. Jose, talk with Chicago, trade up to number 1, take Williams and screw over Kingsbury in Washington. My idea was talk with Chicago, trade up to number 1, tell the Commanders that you're going to take Caleb Williams. Then the Commanders hit the panic button. They trade up with the Raiders up to number 1. They take Caleb. You were going to take Jayden Daniels no matter what. Then you get extra draft capital and just take Jayden at number 2. That would be a movie. I think it is, actually. Lorenzo, y'all got to give AOC, a.k.a. Favre, a break. I've been giving him a lot of breaks. 916, if we draft a top quarterback this year, we need a veteran backup to help groom him. Unfortunately, that's not AOC. Again, I do think depending on what your offense is and what quarterback you do end up drafting, if you draft a quarterback like Jayden Daniels, Aiden O'Connell and Jayden Daniels, this might surprise you, very, very different. It might make more sense for the Raiders to go out and sign a Tyler Huntley, to go out and sign a mobile quarterback that might be able to help groom a younger guy. I hear you there. Real Cowboy, competing with Mahomes is the standard. AOC isn't that. Do you see Nix or Penix sitting behind a cheap vet actually giving us that in a couple seasons? If not, swing big for pick 3. I do not. I do not ever see Bo Nix or Penix maybe, because Penix to me has the upside. If the Raiders want to go the route of signing a cheap veteran and then rolling with Bo Nix, I won't love the idea. I will trust the process and I will hope and pray that it works. But in that exact moment, no, I don't think it'll work, and I do not believe in Bo Nix being an NFL starting caliber quarterback, and you can't convince me to do it. All right, y'all, one more time here. If you want to get in, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. We still got 2 segments to do here. So I want to get into the first one, which is going to be around ranking which quarterback is the most likely to start for the Las Vegas Raiders this upcoming season. I'm going to be ranking these guys from 10 all the way down to 1. You ready?
Number 1, AOC.
Book it. No. He is on the list. But he's actually even a lot higher than what I originally wanted to put him. Spoiler alert. On today's show, the top 10 quarterbacks most likely to start for the Las Vegas Raiders this season with Luke Getsy as the Raiders offensive coordinator. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report. And if you haven't already, make sure you guys click that subscribe button. We're pumping out a lot of videos here around a lot of quarterback talk. And if you haven't been around for a lot of our quarterback talk, well, maybe you should. Last offseason, we predicted that Derek Carr was going to get moved on from. Last offseason, we predicted the Raiders were going to sign Jimmy Garoppolo. Last offseason, we predicted the Raiders were going to draft Aiden O'Connell. So if you want the latest going on around the quarterback situation with the silver and black, hit that subscribe button. So the way that today's show is going to go is I'm going to rank these QBs from 10 all the way down to 1. The 1 being who I believe is the most likely to be the Raiders starting quarterback this season. Coming in here at number 10, I got to put him on the list. It's Justin Fields, Chicago Bears quarterback. But I'll be real with you. I think there is a 0.1% chance that Fields is on this team this season because Luke Getsy recently has already gone on and said that it wasn't his fault, it was Justin Fields' fault for his struggles in Chicago. And then if you're Fields, I guarantee you this, the number 1 place that you do not want to play for next season is the Las Vegas Raiders, because why would you want to be repaired with Luke Getsy, the man who you really did not play all that well with the past 2 seasons, especially in the vertical passing game. Was Justin Fields a good runner? Yes. Fields also has to understand, though, the only way that he's going to get paid, the only way that he's going to make that big paycheck is if he gets it together with his arm. And with only 2 years left on his deal, technically 1 unless they extend his 5th year, do you really want to be able to bet on that with Luke Getsy? The answer to that is hell freaking no. Let's go to number 9 on the list. It's Caleb Williams, quarterback for USC. And you're probably like, holy crap, this list is very different from your one with Kliff Kingsbury. Yes. Why? Because it's two very different. I shouldn't say it's two very different offenses. Different offenses, not as much as what I thought, but it's based on Kliff wants Caleb Williams. Kliff now is with the Commanders at 2. The only way that you're going to have a shot is if the Raiders end up trading up to number 1. And I don't even think even if they trade up to number 1, they would take Caleb Williams because there's another QB that they want more than him. So it's not going to be Caleb. It's not going to be Justin Fields. Get that through all y'all's head right now. They're not going to be on the silver and black this season. However, it's going to be the pinned comment. And this is where I need y'all to get loud. I need y'all to legitimately get your voices in there. Which quarterback is the most likely to start for the Raiders in 2024? You're going to hit with that YouTube ad break, scrolling down, and let me know. Let's go to number 8 here. It's Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback from Washington. He's getting up there in age, and I have been told by a source that the Raiders are nervous about the medical background that Penix has, especially with the way that he looked against Michigan. I mean, let's just be honest with you. I also was told by a source that there are Raiders people in that building that are nervous about drafting Penix, being in the same division with Jim Harbaugh, somebody that had so much success against Penix in the national championship game. Does he have talent? There's no doubt about it. He is able to throw to all levels of the football field, short, intermediate, deep. He's got a great ball, and over the past 2 seasons with the Huskies, he's done a lot of great things. However, the injury history is going to scare a lot of teams, and realistically, when you talk about Getsy's offense, you talk about fit overall. Do I think Penix can be a good quarterback in just about any system? Yes, I do. I was also told that he was impressive at the Senior Bowl for some, not impressive at the Senior Bowl for others. Penix is good. It's just not the QB that I think the Raiders would take in a certain situation in the draft, and you'll see who that is coming up here in a little bit. Let's go to number 7. It's Drake May, the quarterback from North Carolina. There's actually been some reports out there that May is the most likely out of the top 3 quarterbacks between Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels to actually fall down the board a little bit, which indicates to me that the Raiders aren't as interested in May because I know that Las Vegas has had conversations about trading up early for a QB. This past season, it wasn't all that great for Drake May. He didn't have a lot of talent around him. And when I want people to watch, I want you to watch his athletic ability in 2023, but I also want you to watch his confidence in 2022. Like, I fell in love with Drake May in 2022 because he actually had good receivers to throw to. And if you're not confident that the guys are running the correct routes, if you're not confident in your receivers to actually make plays, that hinders you and your ability to throw people open because you don't know if you can trust the other guy on the receiving end of it. Drake May's confidence, and when he's in his bag, he's as good as anybody is out there. And I know that May is going to be a hell of a quarterback in the NFL. But in terms of what the Raiders want, if they trade up for a QB, I don't believe it's going to be Drake May, which is why he's number 7 on this list. Before I get into the top 6 quarterbacks most likely to start for the Silver and Black next season, I got to tell you all about our awesome sponsor here, Gametime. And if you haven't already downloaded the Gametime app yet, make sure you do so because Gametime is the perfect app. It's literally like invented, I believe, for the city of Las Vegas because buying tickets to your favorite events, it shouldn't be stressful. I want you to be able to snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code RaidersChat for $20 off your first purchase. Also, the big game is right around the corner. Use promo code Vegas100 to get $100 off a purchase of a ticket to the big game, only valid for the big game. This offer is available to all users, not just new users. You can get extra food and drinks with the savings to make the big game more enjoyable. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code RaidersChat for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And if you're trying to go to the big game, use promo code Vegas100 to get $100 off a purchase of a ticket to the big game, only valid for the big game. This offer is available to all users, not just new users. So for Jeremy and I, one of the best parts about the Gametime app is I know that I'm going to be in Vegas this weekend. I can go on the app, I can scroll over Vegas, and I can look up all the events, whether it's under 50, comedy, concerts, all that type of good stuff. And I'll admit there's a lot of stuff going on this weekend because of the big game. But I know that if Jugs and I are just hanging around one night and we're like, hey, let's go to something, we're going to be able to do it, and we're going to get an awesome price. Shout out to Gametime. Let's go to number 6 here on the list, and it's J.J. McCarthy. I know what sources have indicated out there that the Tom Telesco isn't a big fan of J.J. McCarthy. However, based on the Raiders draft strategy and where, these guys might end up falling, McCarthy, to me, is the more likely option than all these other names based off of where he could potentially go in the draft. And if you were to tell me which out of Bo Nix, McCarthy, or Penix is the most likely to fall to the Raiders at 44, I actually think it's McCarthy. And McCarthy is not a quarterback that the Raiders should draft in round 1. And I say that just because there might be some teams out there that want to draft him. The Las Vegas Raiders should not be one of those teams. And on top of that, not only do I not believe in his talent to be a quarterback at the next level, are you telling me you're going to draft McCarthy, put him on your team, and then you're going to go up against a division rival twice a year, Jim Harbaugh, somebody that knows McCarthy better than anybody else? No, I'm not doing that, so you can't do it. This is going to be another name that I'm just going to throw out there as being a draft sleeper to watch, and it's been a name that's been getting a little bit of smoke. It's Spencer Rattler, and this video is based on who I think is going to start, right? Like, that's the message here. Who I believe is going to start for the Las Vegas Raiders this upcoming season. I think if the Raiders ended up taking Rattler, it'd probably be in round 4 is probably where they would go at pick 112. I think 77 overall is going to be a little bit too early for him. But if it's at 112, he's not going to be the starting QB. Would probably battle it out with a veteran and then Aiden O'Connell on top of that. But he was the MVP from the Senior Bowl game. I know the Raiders were impressed by him. Yes, he's got a lot of talent. Like, from a talent standpoint, he's light years more talented than Aiden. It's just up here, and that's what scares me with Spencer Rattler. Speaking of the devil, let's go with Aiden O'Connell, which right now might be the most controversial player here on the Raiders Report. I love Aiden, and I think every single Raider fan, they defend Aiden because he's a guy that you root for. He's somebody that when you watch him, you go, there is nothing special about him. He doesn't have a good arm. He doesn't have good pocket awareness. He doesn't do anything great. But what Aiden does is he goes out there and he gives you 110%, and I respect that. Aiden is going to have a long-term – he's going to be in the NFL for a long time as a backup, and that's okay. I would be extremely upset if the Raiders roll with Aiden as their starting quarterback next season because he's not a top 32 QB in the NFL, right? Like, we just had a debate on live show. If Aiden O'Connell became available, how many teams is he the starting quarterback for? The answer to that is 0. And, this is another way of me just throwing out there the Aiden conversation. Would you want Mac Jones to be the starting quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders? I think a lot of y'all are saying, Mitch, no, of course not. Mac Jones, in his first year in the NFL with Josh McDaniels, made the Pro Bowl. Aiden O'Connell, in his first year in the NFL with Josh McDaniels, was not as good as what Mac Jones was. My point is this. The Josh McDaniels offense was made for Aiden. I know y'all love him. He can be the backup. He can't be the starter. Unfortunately, he is the only quarterback that I know that's going to be back next season for Las Vegas. They're going to cut Jimmy G. They're going to cut Brian Hoyer. So for that reason, based on odds, he has to be in the top 5. Let's go to now where it gets serious. At number 4, it's Russell Wilson. And the reason why Wilson makes this list here is because I know the Raiders are looking for a veteran quarterback this offseason. I'm not saying that they're going to go out and get one, but based on where they are planning it out, they know that there's a chance that they might not be able to get their guy in the draft. So if you know that, well, then that's where you got to start looking at some other options. So there was a report out there that if the Broncos were to cut him, that he could be willing to take the vet minimum deal at $1.21 million. And the reason is the Broncos also get a credit for Wilson's earnings in 2024. So if you're Russell and you want to be able to build your legacy, why not sign at $1.21 million? Screw over the Denver Broncos and not give them more money in 2024. That also allows your team to be able to build around you. Like if I'm Russell Wilson, I sign a 1-year prove-it deal at $1.21 million. Why? Because I already know I'm about to get $89 million guaranteed as soon as I get cut. I go out there, I ball out on a team, and then I hit the free agency market next year. And then I signed a big-time deal. If I'm Russell Wilson's agent, this is the plan that he should absolutely do, and I realistically think it's the plan that he's going to do. And believe me, Wilson is a cornball. If you get 12 bathrooms in your house, I do not like that type of guy. It might not be the best locker room fit, but you know what? Antonio Pierce did say that anybody can be a Raider. And if Antonio Pierce endorses Russell Wilson, and if Wilson is willing to take a deal at $1.21 million on a one-year contract to make the Raiders overall better, that is a Raider mindset. I don't like Wilson, but if he did that, guess what? I would absolutely root for the guy. Here's where it gets even more serious. To me, if you said, Mitch, where do the Raiders want to go? It's this. The number one quarterback that the Las Vegas Raiders want this year is Jayden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner from LSU. This is Antonio Pierce's guy. This is Marvin Lewis's guy. This is their dream. This is the dude that they want. The other two options, though, just based on odds, have a better chance of being the starting quarterback because it's not going to be easy to get into the top three. And if you want Jayden Daniels, you're going to have to figure out a way to get into the top 3 picks of the 2024 NFL Draft. I know what Jayden used to be at Arizona State, but one of the things that I love is when a guy gets better and better and better and better. And that's exactly what Daniels did this past season with LSU. And if you've been following and watching the show, you'll see my Daniels to Las Vegas timeline. Like, Jayden hypes up Antonio Pierce, Marvin Lewis in his Heisman speech. In the Raiders locker room after Week 18, Davante Adams has talked highly about Jayden Daniels. Then Jayden Daniels says that he wants to be a Raider to a girl on Twitter. She posts a picture of it. Antonio Pierce likes that picture. Bottom line, the Raiders have not been shy about what they want to do. Report on February 6th from Jeremy Fowler. It indicated that Antonio Pierce, when he was interviewing OC candidates, had Jayden Daniels in mind. Maybe that's also a reason why Kliff Kingsbury said bon voyage. Before I give you the top 2 quarterbacks most likely to be under center for the Silver and Black this season, remember we're going to be live in Las Vegas this Sunday. Tickets, though, they're going quick. And if you want to reserve your spot, you got to go to chatsports.com/biggame. Here's where it's located. Here's the time that we're getting the party going. And if you want to reserve your spot, it's $99 or $149 for all you can eat, all you can drink. And if you want to know what type of food, what type of drinks you can get, it's all down here in this link. That link's going to be available to you all down in the comments and in the description of today's show. I really, really hope that the nation pulls up, because if this thing goes the way that I hope it goes, there's a chance that Jeremy and I could be out in Las Vegas next year for every single game, cheering on the Las Vegas Raiders with the nation. So if you appreciate us, if you want to show some love, reserve your seat. It is free to attend, but I'm just warning you, I'm getting nervous for the people that want to go this route that you're not going to be able to get in because of how many people have already reserved their spot. Let's go to number 2 here on the list. It's Bo Nix, quarterback from Oregon. Y'all know that I'm not the biggest believer in Bo. However, sources close to me, and Graphic Raiders said this back on January 26th, that the Raiders really like Bo Nix and that he could see Caleb Williams going to the Commanders and trying to command his way there. Well, it shouldn't surprise that a lot of the stuff that has been reported by Graph has absolutely come to fruition. And Bo Nix has got a lot of talent, and I do think that Nix fits what Luke Getsy likes to try to run with his offense. A lot of screens, a lot of underneath route stuff, and when you need to take a shot down the field, you need somebody that can execute the offense. And Nix has been able to show that he does have that ability, he does have the commander leadership to be able to run an offense. And if you didn't see Graphic Raiders tweet, here it is. Remember, go give my guy on Twitter a follow at Graphic Raider. He's very well connected right now to Telesco, and the people that gave me the reports about Kliff Kingsbury are also indicating to me that, yes, the Raiders, Telesco does really like Bo Nix. It's not option A. Jayden Daniels is up here, but if they can't get Jayden Daniels, don't be surprised if the Raiders try to trade up for Bo Nix in the back half of the first round, and then they're also going to try to sign this guy right here who's number 1 on the list, and it is Kirk Cousins. I am telling you, Kirk Cousins is the most likely option to be under center for the Las Vegas Raiders this season. If you were to ask me based on percentages, I'd say Kirk Cousins has a 25% chance to be under center. I'd say Bo Nix has like a 20% chance to be under center. Jayden Daniels has a 10% chance to be under center. And then all the other quarterbacks in the rest of the NFL, that fills out the remainder, whatever the hell percentage that is. Yes, finding a quarterback, it's not going to be an easy thing, but you need to look at the reports. You need to look at the tea leaves. Davante Adams has endorsed Kirk Cousins. That's a big one. Davante Adams was a big reason why Luke Getsy ended up getting the job. That's a big one. The Raiders were reportedly offering a 2-year deal to Kliff Kingsbury. Recently, Kirk Cousins has come out and said that he's looking for a 2 year deal. These things are not coincidental. There's a reason why all these reports are being leaked. There's a reason why all this information is going out there. Now, I'll tell you this. I'm not going to give Kirk Cousins $45 million a year. I'm not going to give him a guaranteed contract. But there is some risk in this. Why? I am worried that if the Raiders go out and they sign another quarterback, it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo all over again. Kirk is much better than Jimmy. But my point is, you're going to be having a brand new offensive coordinator with a quarterback coming off an injury that's not going to be able to practice the entire offseason. The Raiders did that last year, and it did not work out. But from what I understand, they are listening to Devontae. They're listening to some of those players, and some of those guys want to win right now. And Kirk Cousins does give you that chance to win right now because when he is healthy, he's a top 15 QB. He has the opportunity to be top 12. Got a 1-4 playoff record. Hopefully that might change, though, with Las Vegas if he comes here. So who are you hoping starts for the Raiders next season at QB? In a perfect world, my answer has been and always will be Jayden Daniels. And if I can't get Jayden, then I'll go Drake May. And if I can't go that route, well, then honestly, man, let's get a veteran quarterback like Russell Wilson or like Kirk Cousins. That's where I'm at. But let's go one more time here. My quarterback rankings for the Las Vegas Raiders with Luke Getsy. And if you want to share this on social media, make sure you take a screenshot, tag me at Mitchell Renz 365, IG, Twitter, wherever you want. And honestly, don't be afraid to tag Chugs as well. He does a lot of stuff here at Jeremy Chugs. He'll share it on his social too. So at number 10, it's Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, but realistically, those two players, they're not going to be in silver and black. Then there is a little bit of a tier gap with Michael Penix Jr., Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, and Aiden O'Connell. Another tier gap with Russell Wilson, and then another tier gap with Jayden Daniels, Bo Nix, and coming in here at number 1 is Kirk Cousins. If you made it this far in the video, shout out to each and every one of y'all. Believe it or not, I do really appreciate it when you make it to the end. If you did, spam RO4L. That way, when I go back and I look at the comments, I know who made it to the very, very end of the show. What up, Jeff? Chugs, I got one more jersey to change into, one more segment, and it's a mock draft, and then it's Viva Las Vegas time. Viva!
Jeff, between the two quarterbacks, Baker at 25 mil or Cousins at 45 mil. Love the show. Keep the great content coming. Well, Jeff, I think this is simple in that Baker for 25, but I don't know if it is that simple of Baker at 25 or Cousins at 45. I think Baker feels comfortable in Tampa Bay, and I think he would rather, with how his career has gone, his career path, being with the Browns and then kind of being up in the air, you know, mid-year trade to the Rams last season. Now he's finally found a home in Tampa Bay where he's had a little bit of success, you know, had a winning record, had a playoff win against the Eagles this year. I think Baker, not that he would take a pay cut, but would be willing to take a little bit less to play for the Buccaneers as well. Same as Vegas, as in Florida, no state income tax. So
Correct.
That could play in their favor for keeping Baker Mayfield. And I think he feels comfortable with that team.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. Like, if I'm Baker, I would say Raiders $30 million. I'd play for the Bucs at 25. Like, he just had 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, won a playoff game in Tampa. And if I'm also Baker, I got to look at the NFC South, and then I'm going to look at the AFC West. Where do you legitimately think you're going to have more success for your career? It's simple. The NFC South is light years easier.
Yeah.
That's where I would stay.
Agreed. Thank you for the super chat, Jeff. What is your opinion of Jordan Travis's upside?
I view Jordan Travis the same way that I do Hendon Hooker. And to me, Hendon Hooker was a really good quarterback that ended up getting injured, though I do think Hooker was much more pro-ready than what Jordan Travis was. I mean, the problem is somebody's going to draft him. He's going to be coming off a horrific leg injury. You don't know what that's going to do to his confidence. You don't know how that's going to trend for him. Like, if I got to take Jordan Travis, let's say at pick 100, or Spencer Rattler at pick 100, like, I'm going to pick Spencer Rattler over Jordan Travis. Like, Travis, to me, is going to be, best case scenario, a quarterback like a Jacoby Brissett. Best case scenario, like, he doesn't do anything that's going to wow you. But if you needed a spot backup quarterback to be able to just fill in, I think that would be a reasonable thing.
People are asking, why not trade for Hendon Hooker? I just think it's so unknown. where his trade value would even be. We didn't see him in the preseason last year. We didn't really see him play at all. You don't know how well he's recovered. You don't know how good he's going to be. Once you see him play a little bit, maybe that becomes a discussion. But as of right now, it's a huge question mark.
Yeah, I don't. You're going to trade a 5th or a 6th round pick for him. To me, if you're going to trade for any quarterback in this Hendon Hooker conversation, it might be a guy that you might not like a lot, but it's Sam Howell to me, because we just saw Sam Howell and with an offense ran by Eric Bieniemy. It's a very vertical passing attack, and he was a starting quarterback for most of the year. Was he great? No, but was he good enough? Sure. I would at least roll with a guy like Sam Howell. You could probably get, I don't know, 5th, 6th round pick. Yeah. He got drafted in the 5th. They know that they're going to move on from him. But if I'm Washington, I want to keep Sam Howell. I think a lot of people are like, oh, they're going to draft a QB like Sam Howell. They're just going to throw him to the wayside. If I'm Washington, I want to hang on to Sam Howell. That's a good backup to have. It's a really good backup to have. PJ, would you sign a vet this year and get Shedeur Sanders next year? If there's a quarterback that I want next year, his name is Cam Ward. Cameron Ward is a QB prospect that I am very, very intrigued by.
Shedeur would move mountains for us.
From a content creator standpoint, yes, I would take Shedeur Sanders, because to me, there is not going to be a player that gets more attention than Shedeur Sanders. So, more views, more all that, I would take it from that standpoint. The actual Raider fan of me, if you were to tell me, Mitch, who can be the next Jayden Daniels, a quarterback that went from a small school, Arizona State, to LSU and then dominated. Cam Ward, Washington State to now the U. I love the intangibles that kid has. He's a really, really good quarterback. That's a guy that I'm going to keep an eye on this year. So that would be my answer to this question. Steven, McCarthy needs more credit. Screenshots this. He will be the most successful QB in this year's class. Reminds me of Purdy. Great in pocket. Hits the open guy.
All right.
I'll take a screenshot of it, but
we'll keep it in.
I don't see it. Johnny, what Rook QB played better than AOC outside of Stroud?
Well, if we're talking, first-year quarterbacks, I would say Anthony Richardson in his short time looked a lot better than AOC. Played AOC in a short stint. He played up much better than Aiden O'Connell did.
I know. I'm just going through the names here. Will Levis? I think Will Levis, in the short sample size that I saw, was better than Aiden O'Connell.
Regardless of the numbers, I still think Bryce Young, for what he... If you put AOC on the Panthers, imagine if you switched AOC and Bryce Young.
If Bryce Young's on the Raiders, we're a playoff.
If you think AOC plays better on the Panthers than Bryce Young did, you're either higher Chandler Jones, or probably both in that instance. So, and if you're just comparing him to other rookies besides C.J. Stroud, still, I would take Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, Bryce Young all over him. Hell, maybe even stints of Tommy DeVito, he looked better than AOC, even though
I would take Aiden O'Connell over DeVito. I would.
I would too, but it's at least a conversation, which isn't a good thing.
Yeah, what are we going for here? It shouldn't be to compare rookies. You should compare all starting quarterbacks. That's the conversation.
Would you rather have a White Castle burger, or would you rather have I'd rather have a steak. I'd rather have a steak for a nice meal.
Yep.
Would you rather have a chewed up piece of gum or this lint in my belly button? Neither. I would have neither.
Yep. We don't have to settle for bad.
Would you rather have a turd sandwich or a douche? Neither.
What up, Ahmed? A quarterback next year, I'd want Drew Aller from Penn State. So, Drew Aller is another quarterback prospect that I do watch a lot. So, again, I'm from Central PA. Shout out to the 570. If you guys want to share your area code down below, please do so. Aller, to me, has great arm talent. However, I need to see him mature another year because, yes, he's got great arm talent. He can throw the ball in a lot of different ways, But when I watch Aller, I do see a lot of J.J. McCarthy, like from an arm delivery standpoint. Like Aller, to me, the reason why I'm so worried about McCarthy is because does he have a good arm? Yes. But he doesn't put touch on the ball. Like, to me, it's always the exact same throw. It's a missile. Like, he doesn't have the ability to loft it up. And that's a lot of the times that I see with Aller, too. Like, there's going to be some growing pains, but from an upside standpoint, this kid's good. What? He's probably the best quarterback Penn State has had in a long time. He's way better than Christian Hackenberg. That's a name drop. What?
The 2-3 games I watched of Drew Aller last year
You
was
weren't
not
that
impressed.
So there's some games.
I was not.
Well, like this is where I say it reminds me of McCarthy. When Penn State was in a favorable situation, he was good. When he needed to be that guy, was not that good. McCarthy, to me, Michigan was so good all year. McCarthy did make some clutch throws, though. Like, I got to give McCarthy the credit.
And so, Eric, you're saying, Mitch, you saying Kirk Cousins coming to the Raiders sickens me just as much as last year's, as you saying that Jimmy G was going to come to the Raiders.
I mean, again,
but
Kirk Cousins is light years better than Jimmy.
But also, all of this stuff is stuff that Mitch is hearing around circles around the Raiders, around the NFL, and he's relaying the message to you.
Yeah.
At no point were we, oh yes, Jimmy G's a Raider. We're so pumped that Jimmy G is a Raider.
If anybody watched the show know that I did not want Jimmy Garoppolo. I even made this video. I even made a video about Kirk Cousins and why the Raiders should not sign him. Like, again, these rankings are solely based on, and I mean solely based on of what I hear, what's the most likely. It's not me sitting up here saying I want Kirk Cousins. It's me saying what I think is the most likely to happen. And I think that's the different conversation. But if you want to look up Kirk Cousins, Raiders report, I've made multiple shows, and it's literally the Raiders should not sign Kirk Cousins. So go check it out. You probably won't, but we'll see.
You probably won't.
We'll see. Again, I do this show based on what I believe is going to happen. And if I'm hearing something, then I'm going to go that way.
And Johnny Black's trying to pull up old receipts of Mitch saying that Zamir White wasn't good and all this stuff.
Yep,
Which
I was wrong on that.
Which, when you make a show that you do videos every single day,
you're going to be wrong.
We're not perfect. We're not saying that we're perfect. We're not saying everything we say is exactly going to happen or everything we say is fact. This is two people who are breaking down stuff, who are breaking down the latest news and rumors with the Raiders. We're not perfect. So, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
us saying Zamir White wasn't good and then Zamir White could still turn out to be a flash in the pan of those 4 games.
I also made a video of history tells you that Josh Jacobs is going to have the worst season of his career. You probably didn't bring that one up.
And for those, like Dead Mike, and for those guys who are hating, go make a video every day about the Raiders. You tell us your thoughts on the Raiders, and then we'll see how it goes. I mean, for anybody hating, that's what I implore you to do.
You're going to miss.
Go make your videos on the Raiders, and let us know. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I would say we've been doing a lot of videos here. I mean, we've got close to 3,000 vids, right? And you're gonna take some shots, you're gonna hit some, you're gonna miss some. But I know this: you don't get to 164,000 subscribers, you don't get to millions of views every month being wrong more than being right. And I feel like right now, for anybody that's just this angry, I don't know what to tell you, man. Thanks for watching. I appreciate that you're watching. I appreciate it, man.
Dead Mike says, I got less hate than you show for AOC.
I mean, I love Raider fans. Yeah. Like, Raider fans are passionate. And
it is what it is.
Raider fans are passionate.
And it comes down to the fact of, when you have a baby, you think you know what's best for it, And everybody...
I don't know where this is going.
This is... The Raiders are... Everybody in the chat, the 1,200 people, this is your baby. Okay. And you think you know what's best for your baby.
Okay.
And somebody telling you that they think they know what's best more than you pisses you off. Hey, and I get it.
Raider Nation. That's why we do the Just Win babies. And I feel that, man. Oh, man.
Best Raiders show?
I mean, numbers say that.
I think so. I'm a little biased. My mom thinks it's the best Raiders show on the internet.
I appreciate that.
It's the only Raiders show that she can find on the internet. So that also plays into account.
I'm gonna get rid of you, Soul. If you're gonna trash us, then you can go somewhere else, man. All right, y'all. Coming up next here on today's episode is gonna be around a mock draft with Luke Getsy. So I did a draft last week when the Raiders hired Kliff Kingsbury, and
when they supposedly hired
Kliff. I mean, I'll say this though: it is the Luke Getsy deal has not been signed yet. So I mean, that's a fact. I mean, we could have another situation. We could be back here.
Robert,
we could be back here yet again.
I don't think so, but I mean.
Wait, Luke Getsy officially has just been hired as the Las Vegas Raiders OC.
Woo! We got him! We got him!
I'll tell you what, that was about perfect timing.
Wow.
It's official.
Oh, my goodness.
Officially official.
Did the Raiders put it on Facebook yet? Did they change their OC status?
It is officially official. The Las Vegas Raiders have hired. Dude, that was unbelievable timing. The announcement is out. It's official.
All right. We're going live.
Oh, dude,
We'll go live right now. All right, we're live.
The Las Vegas Raiders officially have just hired Luke Getsy to be their offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. Woo! Dude, I'll tell you what, that was actually incredible. Like, that was a weird timing thing. That was nuts.
Do you believe in love after love?
Alan says you are live. Dude, nothing gets by.
Look how quick we did that.
That was nuts.
Look how quick we did.
We knew it was going to happen today.
You spent the $2, so I'll put you up again, Johnny. But
I think we already did this one.
Yeah, I mean, he just sent it again, so.
Johnny,
you get what you pay for, so.
I appreciate it. Again, I love the fact that you're defending AOC. I appreciate it.
If you like him so much, why don't you date him?
I just don't want Aiden O'Connell to be the Raiders starting quarterback this season. Let's end it like that. Let's end it like that.
I just think there are better options.
Agreed. All right, y'all. Final call here to get in. If you don't get in before the end of the segment, we are not going to put you in. So, final chance. We got a mock draft coming up here. I'm really, really excited to see exactly what happens in this mock draft. I think you guys are going to like this one. So we got over 1,000 people here in the building. JC, weren't you going to be pissed with this hire? Yes, I was pissed. And you should have watched the videos I put out on Saturday. However, just like a lot of things, the more and more research you start to do on a guy, I do think Fields, the more tape I watch, was definitely not the right quarterback for Getsy. And if Getsy wants to run a lot more shotgun, because I didn't realize how much shotgun that they ran, you're going to get a lot more shotgun runs. Yeah, there's going to be some screens, which there's actually a lot of screens also in Kliff Kingsbury's offense. I really don't think that they're all entirely that much different. I really don't. Did you hear that? It sounds like... What's up, Ventrack? It's me, master of the Random Tuesday Bang. Much love to you in the Silver and Black Hills gang. Mitch got that timing like Nostradamus. You know what, Chugs? Hang on a second here.
Hang on. Hanging on. All right. I will take that to Vegas. Wow. I don't know what Mitch just went to go do, but party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth. Oh, okay. I didn't know where you were going.
The Las Vegas Raiders have officially hired Luke Getsy. Ventrack banged. We had a bang earlier on today's show. And I'm just going to be real with y'all. As soon as Jeremy and we get done with today's show, I'm packing for Las Vegas. We're heading to Super Bowl 58. I know it sucks that those two teams are in it, but I'm excited to be able to hang out with the nation on Sunday. I'm excited to be able to hang out with the Chat Sports gang. We're going to be interviewing players, coaches, all that good stuff. and I'm really excited to see my dad this weekend. So I'm ready to party. Ventrac, shout out to you. If you want to shout out here on the Raiders Report, spam Ventrac right now.
Ventrac. 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 Let's go!
I'm ready to party.
Ventrac just put spam me.
I'm ready to party. Shout out to Ventrac for wetting the whistle a little bit. A little bit of the wetting the whistle. Also, Ray Aguirre, you are in. Right now, $20 Venmo gets you in for a chance to win $150. Miggy Camacho. Miggy, if I ever need a bodyguard, if you're going to be out in Las Vegas this weekend, Miggy, let's just walk around Las Vegas together.
Miggy.
Let's walk around Vegas together, because I feel like if I got Miggy walking next to me, nobody's trying anything. I mean, you're an intimidating human being, but I think Miggy's more. I think Miggy's a little bit more intimidating.
Probably.
Yep. I know. Oh, man. This is interesting. I love the debates you guys get.
And see that Johnny Black said, oh, Anthony Richardson had 3 touchdowns in 4 games.
Oh, my gosh.
But we're only talking about his touchdowns over the air, not the rushing touchdowns, which he had 4 of.
Miggy, are you going to be in Vegas this weekend? Give me a Y for yes or N for no.
Johnny, make it make sense.
Miggy, if you're going to be in Vegas this weekend, let's link up. How many people are going to be in Vegas this weekend? If you are you going to be in Vegas? Y for yes, N for no
Miggy,
this weekend.
You might have to protect me from Johnny Black because I'm making too much sense right now.
Nah, Johnny, I think you gave your baby analogy was the perfect analogy. Like, I know this. I guarantee if Johnny Black pulled up and we were all hanging out, we'd have beers, we'd have laughs, and I honestly would want Johnny to have that argument with me in person. Because I'll be real with you, the thing that I don't like when I do meet up with people in person, I feel like far too often everybody agrees with what I say because I do the Raiders Report show. No, if you disagree with me, tell me. Like, that's where this show is supposed to be fun. Like, you should be able to have those back and forth conversations because that's how the Renz family reunions were. That's how every family get-together I ever had was. It was 4, 5, 6 straight hours of just constant debate. Constant debate.
Nico says, I don't agree with you.
You don't agree with me.
He said he doesn't.
For what?
Just in general.
Oh.
He just doesn't agree with you.
Nico, are you going to be out there in Vegas this time? I hope so, man. I really, really hope so. Puppy monkey baby. Oh, dude, man, that was good.
I swear, me and my best friend from back home for like 3 or 4 years, we would just look at each other and just like effed up, be like, puppy monkey baby.
I'll tell you this. There's going to be a show that we do next Thursday night football, like in this random game. It's going to be fourth quarter. You and I are going to be cross-eyed from drinks. And you're going to look at me and you're going to say, puppy monkey baby. And I might shit on this floor. It might happen. I don't know.
Puppy monkey baby?
All right. How many people are going to be in Vegas this weekend? So Blue's going to be there. Miguel's going to be there. Buzz, I was really hoping to see you. Tretch, yes. Rebel, are you excited? Rebel
gets to meet his son.
Rebel does get to meet his son, Marshall. It's going to be a hell of a boot race. I think one of the things I'm really excited for is Ahern told me that they got a bunch of boots for all y'all that do end up coming to the event. So y'all are going to be able to do some boots and see how difficult it is. Though, I don't know if I'll say this. I'm really hoping that they serve the beers warm because if they're cold boots, I'm telling you, you're done. You're done. Justine Gonzalez, you in. We are now up to winner gets $160.
See, going with the back and forth, Johnny, I feel like you don't watch ball because I feel like what you're saying is, oh yeah, I look at the stats afterwards and then I just try to compare those. Like, do you watch the games or do you just box score hunt?
Let's move on. Let's move on from this whole. You're not going to change your opinion. I'm not going to change my opinion on Aiden O'Connell. Johnny's not going to change his opinion on Aiden O'Connell. That's fine.
I think Johnny got...
The fact that we're even talking about Aiden O'Connell, it should not happen.
Not according to Johnny.
Come on.
I think he got an AOC tattoo.
All right.
And he's really
How
trying
about
to make
this?
it work.
You make a new poll. I'm going to end this poll right now with Getsy. Okay? Make a poll.
Should AOC be the QB next year?
There you go. And then that's how we're going to end it. This is unbelievable. I'll tell you what. I actually hope that Johnny doesn't like Aiden O'Connell and he's just trolling you. Because it's an elite job. Because you know who Johnny is in the office? You. You are Johnny in the office.
I don't know.
You just debate with people just to debate with people.
I'm a master debater.
I'm aware. Some would say maybe even aggressive. Even maybe a little aggressive. Yeah. Anthony, you in. Another one. Though, Anthony, I can't pronounce that. Oh, wait. Can you put up Johnny Black's picture real quick? Oh, no, it's not the same person. I thought it was. I thought Johnny Black was Anthony. I was like, no, that's not him. I mean, I'll tell you what, though. He's got good facial hair. Anthony, you in. There's not many people that I think have a better chin strap than you, Chugs. Anthony might. He might have a better chin strap.
I don't know.
It's close. It's close.
Johnny says it's not hate, fam. It's real.
Oh, boy. All right. Miggy, if you're going to be out in Vegas this weekend, let me know. If anybody's going to be out in Vegas this weekend, I will put something up on my IG probably
It's not hate.
Friday. Like, if there's a day that Chugs and I can hang out with people who aren't available on Sunday, it might be on Friday. Again, we got a lot of different stuff. I mean, we're going to be out there working, so it might change up a little bit. But Friday might be the best day for me. I know Saturday, my dad and I, we're going to be walking around, going to a whole bunch of different brunch spots and whatnot. Like, I know I have a reservation at 11 for brunch, and then I have another reservation at 2 o'clock for brunch, and then we have dinner at like 7 o'clock or something like that in Vegas. So we'll be bouncing around. What?
It's okay. Johnny conceded. He said, Chugs, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry for being a pinhead all of today, and
I
concede. He said it up there. I think he maybe deleted it, but I saw it. Johnny, I appreciate your apology.
Marshall versus Rebel preview. Rebel, all I need is your height, your weight, country of origin, and your reach. I need you to send me all that information, if you could.
Your drink of choice.
I guess that would have to be it as well. Like, if you're going to do it, here's the thing. I don't know if they're going to have Happy Dads. Like, if it's beer, that's, again, beer is a totally different animal compared to the Happy Dads. And if they're ice cold, you're in trouble.
John Forte also sent in a $2 super chat.
What up, Mr. Forte? That's a cute dog.
And Nico,
AOC is ass-tastic. And not in a J-Lo way. It's fine. His wife is Hispanic. And a really fat guy that can't move more way. 0.5 miles an hour in or out of the pocket way. That's like In-N-Out. That's In-N-Out fries. I was actually craving
Rebel
In-N-Out
said
the
I'm
other
bringing
day.
Happy Dad banana flavored.
Oh, okay. Banana flavor is actually one of my favorite flavors. I wish we could figure out a way to get that one here. Banana, it sounds weird. It's probably one of the best ones.
Have you had it?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't had it.
That's the one I always get at Barcode because he loves banana. John, you're next up here on the Raiders Report. And don't worry, we will be getting to our mock draft soon. Mitch, I missed my chance to meet you in person last game in Oakland at Ricky's. You were at the bar but did not want to bother you. Wow, that's a long, long time ago. I mean, that would have been, that's either what, week 1 against the Broncos, week 9 against the Lions, or week 15 against Jacksonville. I actually don't remember which game I actually went to Ricky's, but I remember being in Ricky's bar. I also ran into, it was the grandson of, I want to say, it was like the grandson of Ken Stabler or the grandson of LaMonica. I don't remember who it was. One of the Raiders' great quarterbacks. I forget who it was. Yeah, Nico, I'm a pretty approachable guy. If you guys can't approach me, then who can you approach, for the love of God? Seriously, if you guys ever see me, just come say hi. I like to talk, if you haven't noticed that yet. Man, yeah, Ricky's, that's...
Mitch is a pretty approachable guy, yeah. People don't know it, but me and Mitch were both actually 5'3". So you shouldn't be intimidated.
Who's that toddler chugging beers? Can't even see him. Oh, it was Jags game? Jags game was that was a good weekend. I mean, it's probably one of the most memorable weekends I've had. Because, like...
Diablo, I don't know if...
Man, I've never seen so many grown men cry that weekend. That was
Diablo,
a tough one.
I don't know if Mitch... Or I don't know if AOC could shock the NFL if he had a taser.
Just so y'all know, we're not 5'3". Because...
Prove it.
Huh?
Prove it.
How high is this? I don't know if this is inches. I bet you this is. I bet you that's what that... So right now it's at 36 inches. Yeah, I feel like this is not right. Because now this is saying... Oh, wait, I'm going to rip that out. Yep, I was going to see how high the desk could go. I'm at... Yeah, definitely over... I'm 5'10".
Oh, yeah.
I am 5'10".
Yeah. Of course.
I'm 5'10". I'm 5'10". Oh, John. All right, I think we're all caught up. Let's go.
All right. Next segment.
Let's keep it moving. Blue Richards has met me. Nico, Mitch is like 5'10". See? I'll tell you what. Back in my baseball days, I was 6 foot. With cleats on, 6 foot. Kanzuri, 6'1.5". No doubt. All right, let's get into this mock draft. Here we go. Coming up here on today's show.
Johnny Black is 5'1".
Coming up today on this show, Raiders mock draft. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Coming up, let's go. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. The Las Vegas Raiders have officially hired offensive coordinator Luke Getsy. So what I needed to do here is do a brand new mock draft. And I ran this mock draft on PFF, so everything that you're going to see is ran through on there. And if you want to make your own mock drafts and send them to me, please don't be shy, at Mitchell Renz 365. But this is a mock draft not based on what I would do. This is a mock draft based on what I think Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce would do, knowing that Getsy is their OC and Patrick Graham is their defensive coordinator. Now, are some of the picks my guys? Sure. But there's going to be some things that you see that are definitely more tailored to all these coaches and GMs here. If you want Raiders draft videos the entire offseason, hit that subscribe button. If you want more Raiders mock drafts, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be pumping out a lot of content leading up to the 2024 NFL draft, and probably the most fun day, or one of the most fun weeks, I guess, for here on the Raiders Report is when we go live for every single pick. It's like, 20-something hours. It's unbelievable of Raiders content live for the entire NFL draft, and we will get the picks before you see them on TV. So here's all the Raiders 2024 draft picks, and I'll admit, PFF, the one thing that does grind my gears a little bit about them is they don't have the updated comp picks yet for the Raiders. So as it stands right now, here are the picks for the silver and black. You got a pick in round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 3 picks in round 7. So 9 picks in total for the silver and black. So what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm going to go through this mock draft. That way you can kind of see each pick leading up to the Raiders at number 13. So here we go. Caleb Williams off the board. Drake May off the board. Jayden Daniels off the board. And in this situation, to me, the Raiders have a certain plan. Joe Alt, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, those are your top 6 picks. From 7 to 12, Cooper DeJean, Roma Dunze, Nate Wiggins, Talisi Fuaga, Brock Bowers, and Jerzon Newton are all off the board in the top 12. Now, I'll admit, I do think that there will be at least one trade before the Raiders in the top 13, but in this mock draft, it didn't happen. So let's just say right now, based off of this mock, you're on the clock. You're sitting next to Tom Telesco. You're sitting next to Antonio Pierce. You got Luke Getsy. You got Patrick Graham in front of you. Who are you going with? Who should the Las Vegas Raiders draft at pick number 13? For me, this one would be a pretty simple answer. And based off of what the Raiders currently have and what the Raiders currently need, I'm going to go with best player available. And the best player available on my board that was still available, and the best player available on PFF's board was Olu Fashanu, the offensive tackle from Penn State. Now, to me, he's a left tackle. I am confident enough in the ability of Kolton Miller to potentially play right tackle. And if I need to have a situation where either Olu or Kolton Miller is going to play left tackle or right tackle, I'll tell you this, I'm actually okay with that problem because this would be arguably the best offensive tackle duo in the National Football League. He's 6'6", 320 pounds. This dude is an absolute monster. He's got elite athletic ability. Made Bruce Feldman's Freaks List. And if you don't know what the Freaks List is, go check it out. It's just guys that are just unbelievably talented. He is a day one starter with the upside to be the best offensive lineman in the National Football League. Like, that's how good of a player he is. He is an elite pass blocker, a very good run blocker. So when you add up all those things, that's why I decided to take Olu here at number 13. But when I do these mock drafts, obviously I give my opinion. So one of the things I want to start trying to do is just show you the opinions of some other people around the NFL, around the draft community, and what they have to say on certain players. So this is from NFL Draft Buzz on Olu, and they said this. Olu Fashanu has become a force at Penn State, known for his exceptional athleticism and build ideal for a left tackle. With a solid background as a 2-year starter, he's demonstrated remarkable skills in both pass protection and run blocking. Fashanu excels in pass protection, showcasing advanced footwork and hand technique beyond his years. His ability to understand snap timing and body positioning sets him apart, along with his skill in handling rushers and keeping the pocket intact. While Fashanu's pass protection abilities are highly polished, his run blocking shows room for growth. His quick and effective in initial engagements, but his technique can falter in sustaining blocks, particularly against quicker rushers. Despite these areas of development, Fashanu's overall skill set, including his physical tools and football IQ, position him as a potential top 10 pick in the 2024 draft. His combination of athletic talent and the potential for future growth makes him a likely candidate for a franchise-caliber blind side protector. So I end up going with Olu Fashanu here at pick number 13. And again, is offensive tackle a need for the Raiders? Yes, it is. I understand it's more on the right side. But Kolton Miller has once played right tackle before, and I'm confident that he'd have the ability to do it again, which now means the Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock here. Round 2, pick 44. I'll tell you who I ended up going with, but I got to tell you about our sponsor here first. Shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring the Raiders Report and showing love to this mock draft. I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for all of our awesome sponsors here, so when I tell you about them, go check them out. I promise you you're going to have a lot of fun. If you're like, Mitch, well, how do I get started? You got to go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is really simple to play. You can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So, nation, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. If you're wondering, Mitch, what are your picks for the big game? This is what I'm rolling with. I took this at $20 to win $200. So if you're a Raider fan, you don't want to root for the 49ers, you don't want to root for the Chiefs, go pick out 4 players, 3 players, 5 players, however many players, and just put a few bucks down on each of those guys and then root for their individual achievements. I guarantee you it'll actually make you want to watch the game because the amount of Raider fans that have told me, oh, I'm not going to watch Super Bowl 58. First off, I don't believe you. Second off, it's the biggest game of the year. Yeah, I get it. It's 2 teams that we hate. But you should still watch the game. It's literally the only thing going on that day. So if you need an excuse to watch it, here's your excuse. You're welcome. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. All right, let's go here to round 2. Wait a minute. I'm going to be making a trade here. The Las Vegas Raiders are trading up to pick number 33 with the Carolina Panthers. And the draft trade that I did was Carolina, you received pick number 44. And the trade that was accepted was a 3rd-round pick in 2025. I'm telling you this right now, this is really, really good value for the silver and black. And the reason why that I ended up doing this was because the Patriots were picking at 34, and he kept falling down the board. There were some other teams that I thought might take a QB, so I said, F it, I'm going to trade up. I'm going to go up and get a quarterback because, to me, That's what the Raiders would want to do if you missed out on those top 3 guys. So my question is, all 3 of these QBs were still on the board. I can trade up and get J.J. McCarthy. I can trade up and get Michael Penix Jr. I can trade up and get Bo Nix. My question is, out of these QBs, who would you try to get? Type JM for JJ, type MP for Michael Penix. If you want Box Nix, then you can go type BN down below. Remember, this is a mock draft based on what I believe Tom Telesco, what Luke Getsy, and what the Las Vegas Raiders would do, not what I would do. So for that reason, the Las Vegas Raiders have traded up, and they are selecting quarterback out of Oregon, Bo Nix. I have been told by multiple sources, Graphic also, I got to give a shout out to him. He was the first one on this, that said Telesco likes Bo Nix. The Raiders are looking for a QB that can be on a 2-year contract, which is why I think that they end up signing a veteran like a Kirk Cousins to a 2-year deal. Then you let Bo Nix learn for 2 years. This shouldn't surprise anybody. Getsy, a part of that Packers tree. It's exactly what they do. You let Bo learn behind a veteran, and then you hand him the keys to the car in about 2 or 3 years. But this is where I, again, want to take this show to a different level. Y'all know how I feel about Bo Nix. I'm not crazy about him. So let me tell you what NFL Draft Buzz has to say about the Oregon quarterback prospect. Bo Nix entered the collegiate ranks with the high sky expectations, securing the SEC Freshman of the Year in 2019, and was heralded as a 5-star recruit. His tape at Auburn showcases his prototypical size and arm cannon, both key assets for the next level. Nix's footwork and mobility allow him to extend plays outside the pocket, and his arm talent, especially off-platform throws, is evident. However, his on-field IQ needs polishing. He occasionally displays sloppy mechanics and lacks pocket awareness, leading to questionable decisions under duress. Furthermore, he locks onto primary reads and struggles with progressions. But with a year of solid tape and growth in his decision-making, there's no doubt Nix can move into the first round discussions with NFL teams seeking a quarterback with raw, moldable talent. So that's what they had to say on Bo Nix. And to me, if this is the route that the Raiders want to go, you're able to get a hell of an offensive tackle in the first round. Sure, you're going to have to trade up and give up a little bit of quarterback assets, but still, you're going to go out there and you're going to have a Bo Nix who's going to be able to learn, and now I can still keep all of my other picks. I've done a lot of mock drafts on this channel. I'm telling you right now, I love this mock draft, and that's even with drafting Bo Nix. Let's go to round 3. Pick number 77 here on the board. And at this point, I went offensive tackle. I got myself a good quarterback here in Nix. And there's just going to be certain players that I feel like I'm just going to end up with a lot of the times in mock drafts because every single person has their guys. One of my guys is Leonard Taylor III, defensive tackle from Miami. And I like this kid's intangibles. I think he's going to be a hell of a player at the next level. And when you want to know, like, what about him, Mitch, makes you like him so much? He's a big dude, 6'3", 305. Also, defensive tackle is the top need for Las Vegas this offseason. Like, this is maybe based on them not spending big in free agency, which that might be a route. And based off of that, like, if you're going to go give a quarterback like a Kirk Cousins a big-time deal, $30 million, you might not have the money to allocate that and go get a big-time defensive tackle. So with that, you still need to be able to add a DT in the draft. He's quick-footed with a rare burst for his size. Very good quickness off the snap to split defenders and penetrate the pocket. I'll tell you this right now. He's a raw prospect. Like, there's a lot of growth left there to be had. But overall, when you think about why the Raiders might have to do this, I trust Rob Leonard. I trust Antonio Pierce. I trust Patrick Graham to get the most out of him. And if you trust those 3 guys, then Leonard Taylor III is an intriguing prospect. His 19.5 pressure rate in 2022 trailed only Pittsburgh Kalijah Cansey's, who went number 19 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 2023 draft. Taylor only mustered 1 sack in 2023, but tallied 21 total pressures and 17 quarterback hurries. Taylor has the ability to be able to get after the quarterback, and with the Raiders and with these coaches, I trust them to get the most out of a prospect. And that is why Leonard Taylor, if he ends up landing on the Raiders, remember, Rob Leonard also has a lot of connections in Miami. I get it was the Dolphins, but he still has a lot of connections in the Miami area. This would be a hell of a pick here for the Raiders. Let's go to round 4, pick 112 for the silver and black. And I went offense, found another defensive tackle, and based off of free agency, again, when I thought about this mock, I thought, all right, if I'm going to take Bo, that also means that the Raiders ended up spending big, probably on a free agent quarterback to let Bo learn behind. So I don't know if you're going to have the opportunity to bring back a guy like Andre James. So I'm going to go with the center that I like a lot, that's got a lot of playing experience. Cedric Van Prawn, 6'4", 310-pounder, 3-year starter at the University of Georgia. His PFF grade, 77.9. And if you want to talk about a dominant college football program, the most dominant college football program over the last 3 years, I think you can make an argument it's either Michigan or it's Georgia. I'll take the team that won 2 national championships compared to the team that just won 1. And he was a 3-year starter there. He's got scheme versatility, which I love. Football IQ, love it. 1 sack, 1 hit allowed in those 3 years, and dude is an absolute mauler in the run game. We're going to talk a lot about Luke Getsy, and yes, I know the concentration a lot of times is on the passing game. Getsy's going to want to run the football, and if the Raiders bring back a guy like Josh Jacobs, who I do think ends up getting brought back now with Getsy, it could be somebody that, again, I'm adding some extra talent here around the Raiders and some of their current needs. Let's go to round 5, pick 146. But you know what? I kind of lied here because I got another trade that ends up going down here, and I jump right in front of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm going to take another one of my guys. So the trade that I had to do to get up to 130, I get the 4th-round pick, 130. The Las Vegas Raiders, they give up a 5th-round pick at 146. I also had to give up my 6th-round pick in 208 overall. So you give up a 5th and a 6th to go up and get a 4th. So after this pick, I'm not going to have a pick in round 5. I'm not going to have a pick in round 6. But I do have 3 picks in round 7. And this is my guy. I have taken him in every single one of my mock drafts. And I'm going to continue to try to do it because I know Tom Telesco loves Notre Dame players. But Cam Hart, to me, is another Feldman's freak, dude. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He might test out to be the best corner in the entire NFL draft. I'm telling you, Cam Hart might be the best overall athlete from length, height, size. I mean, he is an unbelievable player. His technique needs work. I'm telling you right now, his technique needs a lot of work. He's handsy, he's grabby, and that might be a problem at the next level. But his tape shows me that he can play a man, he can play zone, he's not afraid to tackle, and if you get the most out of him, right, Cam Hart has the opportunity to be better than a player like Nate Hobbs. And that's, I know what I'm saying, it's a lot to Raider fans, but Nate Hobbs was an athletic specimen that got the right opportunity. If you put Cam Hart in the right positioning, which to me, that's Patrick Graham. I know Jason Simmons right now, he might not return. He's being interviewed for another job. But I think when the Raiders have a guy like Ricky Manning, you also have a Gerald Alexander, 2 very good coaches that the Raiders added with Antonio Pierce, somebody that was able to get a lot out of Jack Jones. If I'm Cam Hart, I would love the opportunity to play for the Silver and Black. So how about this? I've already given you a few my guys. Give me a prospect that is your guy, because when I do shows like this, I want y'all to leave today's show and be like, oh, man, I want to go do a mock draft, because doing a mock draft is a great way to just kill some time, but it's also a great way to learn a few draft prospects, and then you start reading up on them. You start watching a little tape. You're like, all right, that's my guy. I want to know one of your guys, and I'm going to try to look down in the comments and see how can I get a few of your guys in a future mock draft of mine. So that means right now we are at Olu, Bo, Leonard, Cedric, Cam Hart, which now means I got 3 picks in round 7, 8 picks for the Raiders in total, and I've traded pick number 44, and I've traded pick 208. That's the friendly reminder. Before I get into my round 7 picks, friendly reminder that we are going to be live in Las Vegas this Sunday for the big game watch party. I have asked y'all to do a lot on this show, and I know that, but I am asking y'all to pull up and show out at this event. It would help me. It would help Jeremy Chuggs. And if you want to make a reservation, you got to go to chatsports.com/biggame, BIGGAME. Here's when it starts. That's the address right there. And if you want unlimited food, it's got a buffet, unlimited drinks, $99, or you can go the VIP pass. That's if you want to get on the show. I would recommend this one. Is how you do it. It is free to attend. It is kid-friendly. If you allow your kid to watch the Raiders Report, then they should absolutely be allowed to come to this event as well. But I will admit, I am starting to get nervous for the people that are relying on this option because of how many people have already reserved their spots. I don't want that to happen to you, and it's worth every single penny in Las Vegas. So reserve your spot, chatsports.com/biggame, and help me root against the Chiefs and the freaking Niners. Let's go to round 7, and I'm going to go with running back Carson Steele at 6'1", 225 from UCLA. When I'm this late in the draft, I look for upside, and that's just what I'm going to look at. I'm either going to look at special teams players or I'm going to look at upside or both. I know what Carson Steele is at UCLA, right? This is another player who made Feldman's freak list. He is an athletic specimen, and I don't know if he's ever going to be good enough to be a running back in the NFL. But you know what this guy reminds me of? This guy reminds me of somebody who's going to be an elite gunner on special teams, which it's not a sexy position that many people talk about, but it is a position that deserves recognition. If you want to be a Super Bowl caliber team, you need offense, defense, and special teams. But I'm telling you what, I know, white guy, running back, he is a much better athlete than what he gets credit for. Let's go to round 7, pick 224 here, and I'm going to go with an offensive player, and I'm going to go with the tight end position. I'm going to go with Trey Knox from South Carolina, 6'5", 237, 36 grabs, 312 yards this past season for the Gamecocks. My biggest note that I have on him is he's going to run, I think he runs like a 4.3, 940. I don't know if he's going to be under a 4.4, but somebody at 6'5", 237, his stock is going to rise significantly at the combine because he's going to be in that upper percentile of tight ends that run the 40-yard dash. He doesn't run a great route tree. To be honest, I don't think he's that great of a route runner. He might just be north and south. But if I want to be able to add another tight end that I can go vertical with, when I got 2 tight ends on the field, you let Michael Mayer cook on one side, and then you got to worry about this dude that can run this way. This is why I ended up going with Trey Knox here in round 7. And then to round out my mock draft with Tom Telesco, with Luke Getsy, with Antonio Pierce, I am going to go in round 7, pick 226. I'm going to go with a safety here, and he's from Kansas, Kenny Logan Jr. 95 tackles this past season with the Jayhawks, 1 interception, 6 PBUs. He's a senior. He's one of the leaders here on this team. Team captain, I believe, on top of that. If I can add a safety, if I can add another dude that's got some special teams ability on the best Kansas team of all time, right? I mean, it might be the best Kansas football team of all time. So for this reason, I'm going to go with Kenny Logan Jr. He was just the best player left available on my board. I know the Raiders have solid safety depth. Isaiah Polamayo, he's a free exclusive rights free agent. They might not bring him back. I anticipate that they will. What happens if the Raiders don't love Chris Smith, somebody that was drafted by the Ziegler regime, by the McDaniels regime? This is just another player to add into the mix for a little bit more depth. So here is my Raiders mock draft, and I want you to go give this one a grade. A, B, C, D, or F. And this is where I want you to be honest. A, it's amazing. B, it's good. C, it's average. D, it's bad. F, well, I'm sure some of us in here have gotten a few Fs. If you want to share this on social media, you can tag me on Instagram and on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. So don't be shy and go ahead and do so. Appreciate each and every one of y'all. And remember, if you want to do your own mock drafts, do it on PFF. PFN is also available. Make sure those trades are turned on. And if you want me to grade it, I will check my DMs. I try to do my best that I possibly can. So please don't be shy and send me all those mock drafts. All right, nation. We got a duck race to do, and then we got to get the heck out of here. Remember, that's a mock draft based on what I think the Raiders would do with those guys. But I'll tell you this, if that was what if that's what our draft ended up being,
I'll tell you what, man.
I'd be okay with that. That's a B draft.
Hey, knock on wood if you're with me.
That's a B draft even with Bo Nix. All right, here we go. Some people that are in for this duck race. The last name that I saw was Anthony Damian Sarpy. Hopefully that's right. And then Isidro, you in, which means 19 people are in. Jeremy, I am going to send you this list because our chat sports team needs to get in here. Should I send it to TV? I'll send it to TV.
Yeah.
So that means winner's going to get $190.
Doll hairs.
$190 going to the winner. Good luck to each and every one of y'all for participating in this duck race here. And again, friendly reminder that we are going to be in Las Vegas this weekend. I hope I get to run into y'all. And you're going to be getting a lot of different videos. Again, the plan is for Jeremy and I to go live on Thursday. And if we go live on Thursday, it'll be actually at Media Row. And we got a few interviews already lined up, so we're going to be able to meet with some people. But you're going to see a lot of different types of content this weekend. Jeremy and I are going to have some fun. We're going to try to get as many interviews as we possibly can. I don't want to do the boring, stuffy interviews. That's not who I am, and I don't really enjoy watching that type of content. So we're going to ask some tough questions with some people. We're going to ask some questions that y'all care about. And even if I get an answer that I know I'm going to get, I'm going to ask tough questions because I hate the stupid interview softball questions that people give coaches that nobody cares about. I promise you, that's not going to happen with me. So here's our race right now. Winner gets $190. You ready? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Winner gets $190. And right now, Ryan Campbell is out to an early lead. Also followed by Ryan Campbell. Watch out for Justine Gilbert. Matt Fluhey down here on the bottom. Isidro running like a madman. I'll tell you what, this one's electric. Willie Pfister down there at the bottom. Anthony Morera right up there. Amy with the lead. Robert starting to pull up. Justine Gonzalez. You thought that her hair was going to slow her down a little bit. Amy with the lead. Is she going to be able to hang on to it? Wow, I don't know who is streaking from the back. Anthony Green now starting to fall back. Simmons, I thought he was going to take it. No. Gilbert. Willie Pfister in the lead. Scott Eckert and Willie Pfister back to back. Winner gets $190. I think people are starting to slow down a little bit, starting to get a little bit dehydrated. Amy Isidro back and forth. 7 seconds to go. Who's going to have enough in the tank? Is it going to be Raider Ray? Justin Gilbert. Justin Gilbert. Holy shit. I'll tell you what right now. If you saw a race like that in real life, that would be iconic. Justin Gilbert, you, my good friend, are the winner. And Justin...
It's actually Justin Gickber.
Yep, that's on me. Justin, I need you to confirm that you have just won $190. Sent. And who got the butthole pick? Ray Aguirre. Congratulations. Oh, wow. Very close. My dad came in 8th. I always send my dad a butthole pick anyway, even if he comes in 8th place. So, all right, y'all. That's all the time Jeremy and I got. Wow. Jose Altuve, 5-year, $125 million contract extension. Big for you. All right, y'all, this is it. So Chugs and I, we're literally as soon as this show ends, I got to head home. I got to pack, and then we're going to be flying out to Vegas bright and early tomorrow. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff out there on Media Row. But again, if you want to chill with Chugs and I on Sunday, Big Game Watch Party, that link is right there at chatsports.com/biggame. Appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. If any breaking news happens tomorrow morning, if we're in the air, we'll cover it when we land. We'll keep you up to date on everything going on. Make sure you guys are following both of us. We're going to be having a lot of fun out there. I just wish it was 2 different teams. From me, from Jeremy Chugs, peace out. Go Raiders, and I'll see you Sunday in Vegas for the Big Game Watch Party.